Chapter 627. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The arrows rained down on Lin Muyu, catching her completely off guard. Her battle chi converged behind her, forming a suit of battle armor that deflected the arrows one by one. Clanging sounds rang out in the air. Oh no, he has battle armor. Northern Chi Eagle's intestines were green with regret. If he had known earlier, he would have ordered his attendants to use white drill arrows. Draw your swords, go. A group of guards threw away their bows and arrows, pulled out their swords, and charged forward. These were all attendants skilled in close combat, and they were also the strongest guards that Northern Chi Eagle had raised for many years. Lin Muyu stood up. Holding the stellar sword that could not be unsheathed, she looked coldly at the crowd and said, "Just who are you people? Why do you keep finding trouble with me?" A guard laughed sinisterly. "We are people who want your worthless life." The sword light flew. There were a few Heaven Realm warriors in this group. Lin Muyu almost instinctively swung her sword to block. After the scabbard knocked away a guard's long sword, her body spun, and the hilt of the sword, which contained great power, slammed heavily into the guard's chest. Her battle boots flew out and sent the first Heaven Realm guard flying. It was clear that Lin Muyu's strength was recovering. Northern Chi Hong's heart chilled. 3 to 5 Heaven Realm warriors attacked together, but they couldn't do anything to Lin Muyu. He quickly turned to Northern Chi Eagle and said, "Master, Lin Muyu's strength is constantly recovering. I believe it won't be long before he recovers. Fan Yun, please attack immediately and kill Lin Muyu before his strength recovers." "Okay, that's what I was thinking." Fan Yun's gaze turned cold. He had already stepped out of the forest, and the pressure of his domain spread out in the surroundings. Immediately, the guards who were fighting retreated. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The pressure of his domain made the gravel on the ground tremble. Fan Yun walked toward Lin Muyu with his hands behind his back like an expert. There was a faint smile on his lips. "Lin Muyu, do you still recognize me?" "Lin Muyu? Who did you say is Lin Muyu? And who are you? Do you know me?" Lin Muyu felt as if she had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. Someone actually knew who she was. Of course I know you. You massacred my sect. I haven't settled this debt with you yet." Fan Yun's domain pressure became stronger and stronger. Finally, with a bang, the animal skin robe in front of Lin Muyu's chest exploded. This kind of animal skin could no longer withstand the pressure of Fan Yun's concentrated force field. Immediately after, the stones around Lin Muyu also exploded. Lin Muyu naturally didn't feel good either. His body felt like it was about to be crushed. Although he wanted to resist, he didn't know how to do so. He had already forgotten how to condense pressure to resist a strong enemy's force field. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Lin Muyu suddenly knelt down on one knee. However, she silently pulled out a small demonic noise blade from her waist and pressed it firmly into the grass. Fan Yun stepped forward, his face full of arrogance. He raised his right foot and stepped on the back of Lin Muyu's head. His laughter became even more arrogant. God, this is a god. Is this the god Lin Muyu revered by the empire as a god? You are so weak. I only need to use a little bit of strength to crush you into mincemeat. Poor thing. But at this moment, Lin Muyu suddenly raised her hand and struck. The demonic noise blade slashed across Fan Yun's leg. Blood flowed. Fan Yun was caught off guard. His leg twitched in pain. Lin Muyu didn't say anything. Her left fist trembled. The king's fighting flame raged. She suddenly punched Fan Yun's chest and shouted, "Get out of my way!" Bang! Under the heavy blow, Fan Yun flew back like a cannonball. He only stopped after smashing through a few large trees. Northern Chi Eagle, Northern Chi Ju, and the others were dumbfounded. "Heavenly Book? Use the Heavenly Book!" Northern Chi Eagle roared, "Heavenly Book of the Law of Wind." "Yes, Father." Northern Chi Ju raised his long sword. Divine runes appeared on the blade. In the sky, a divine power pierced through the clouds and descended. Immediately, the surrounding air seemed to condense. In the next moment, a storm raged around them. The wind blades were like knives, scraping against Lin Muyu's body. Wah! Lin Muyu let out a muffled groan. She knelt on the ground. The ground around her was cut open. Her battle armor was desperately gathering power to save her master's life. 10 seconds later, Lin Muyu was riddled with wounds. Her entire body was covered in wounds caused by the heavenly book of the law of wind. The small valley she was in was a complete mess. The grass had been plucked clean, and the ground looked like it had been cut by a knife. Heavenly book of the law of fire. Northern Chi Eagle shouted. One of the guards raised his arm. Divine runes revolved, and the power of heaven and earth was activated. Immediately, a rain of fire fell from the sky and began to burn the pitiful Lin Muyu. The scorching heat was enough to kill. Lin Muyu hugged his head and rolled around on the ground like a wild beast. He didn't know how to resist the power of the heavenly book. He couldn't think of anything. The Forgotten Realm was like a curse that imprisoned his cultivation. After the flames raged, Lin Muyu fell miserably in the sea of fire. Northern Chi Eagle laughed coldly. He's done for. Someone, give me another heavenly book of the law of earth. A pillar of indigo light rose up into the heavens, and the earth tremored violently as a series of rock spikes erupted from the ground like the gaping maw of a gargantuan beast. Countless rock spikes struck Lin Muyu's body, and he was bleeding profusely as his suit of battle armor crumbled one after another. He was completely unable to withstand this fearsome power. All right, he's about to die. Northern Chi Eagle said indifferently, "Follow me." When the power of the heavenly book disappeared, the rock spikes turned to stone powder. Lin Muyu collapsed in the stone powder. Northern Chi Eagle walked forward and pulled out the Qinghuan pouch from his waist. He reached into the pouch and finally pulled out a golden heavenly book. It was the legendary Fuxi heavenly book. It's the heavenly book. It's the Fuxi heavenly book left behind by the god Emperor Fuxi. I found it. Northern Chi Eagle seemed to have found a treasure. He trembled with excitement. I found the heavenly book. Flipping open the heavenly book, lines of words immediately came into view. At this time, Northern Chi Ji walked forward, pulled out his long sword, and pressed it against Lin Muyu's chest. Father, I will finish him off to avenge my second brother. Wait. Northern Chi Ji flipped to the last few volumes of the heavenly book but couldn't see a single word. He couldn't help but say, "This is a wordless heavenly book. I still have things to ask Lin Muyu. Tie him up and break his sea of energy." Northern Chi Ji smiled slightly. The blade of his sword swept across and pierced through Lin Muyu's sea of energy. Immediately, Zhenqi flowed out. Following that, he used the tough nihility ox tendon to bind him tightly. The nihility ox tendon was resistant to water and fire. It was a good material for bowstrings, but it was also excellent for binding people. The more one struggled, the tighter it became. It was impossible to break free. At night, everyone set up camp in the cave. They threw Lin Muyu into the innermost part of the cave. After splashing water on him, he still did not wake. His injuries were too serious. Not long after, everyone became drowsy. Outside the cave, the fire flickered. Lin Muyu slowly woke up. He felt pain all over his body. He struggled for a while and then gave up. His state of mind was a mess. Fan Yun said he was a god, but how could a god be reduced to such a state? At this time, a rustling sound came from behind him. It was as if someone was cutting the nihility ox tendon binding him. Turning around, he saw a familiar face. It was that little girl, Li Mingye. Shoo, Li Mingye made a quiet gesture. She then held the little demonic knife that Lin Muyu had given her and slowly cut the nihility ox tendon. Fortunately, it was a sharp demonic knife. If it had been any other dagger, it would not have been easy to smoothly cut the nihility ox tendon. Patter! The nihility ox tendon broke one by one, but the closest guard was only a few meters away. Lin Muyu could not summon up any strength in his body. The remaining Zhenqi in his sea of energy had all been drained. Li Mingye stretched out her hand and pointed behind her. In a small voice, she said, "There is a cave in this cave. We'll crawl out from here. Be quiet, Immortal." At this time, when Lin Muyu heard Immortal, he immediately felt it was particularly ironic. If he really was someone, why would he need a girl who had no strength to truss a chicken to save him? Li Mingye acted as Lin Muyu's walking stick. Supporting him, she slowly slid into the cave. They followed the cave for about 1 or 2 li and immediately appeared on the other side of the mountain range. Immortal were safe. The girl happily spun around on the grass. She waved her hands and feet as she took out the sky heart grass from her waist. Immortal, I'll give this to you. You need it so much. No, I'll get it myself. Immortal is so stingy. The girl pouted. Lin Muyu thought of the sky heart grass. Unfortunately, it had already been crushed by the heavenly book of the law of wind. Otherwise, she could have given it to the girl to treat her grandfather. At this moment, a torch suddenly flickered in the distance. The sound of horse hooves rang out. Northern Chi's eagle, Fan Yun, and the others had caught up. Hurry up and leave. I'll hold them off. Lin Muyu opened his hands, but he could not summon up any strength. Li Mingye widened her eyes in panic. Immortal, we can't escape, can we? The warhorses came very quickly. In the blink of an eye, the people of Northern Qi had already surrounded the two of them. You still want to leave? This little girl is really a hindrance. Fan Yun snorted coldly and suddenly opened his palms. An invisible force whistled through the air. Immediately, Li Mingye was caught in Fan Yun's hands. Her face flushed red. She whimpered, Immortal, save me, he's an immortal? Fan Yun could not help but laugh. He's just a useless piece of trash right now. No, an immortal is omnipotent. Li Mingye argued loudly. How annoying. Fan Yun suddenly swung his arms. Suddenly, Li Mingye's body crashed into a distant tree, and there was no sound. Lin Muyu gritted his teeth. A blood-red power circled in his eye. He clenched his fists and roared, You bastards, why do you want to kill the innocent? Bang. Fan Yun heavily slammed his palm into Lin Muyu's chest, directly pressing him into the rock wall behind him. The rock layer cracked. Fan Yun laughed sinisterly. Lin Muyu, you're not a god anymore. You're just a piece of trash. What right do you have to be so arrogant? As he spoke, Fan Yun raised his left hand. A black longsword, sheathed in its sheath, pierced Lin Muyu's left shoulder, nailing him to the rock wall. Blood splattered everywhere. That longsword was Lin Muyu's stellar sword. You're a god? Fan Yun laughed loudly. He opened his right palm, and flames soared into the sky. This palm was filled with murderous intent. Presumably, he wanted to use the power of the law of fire to send Lin Muyu on his way. Don't hurt him. Behind him, a petite figure rushed over and slammed heavily into Fan Yun's back. Li Mingye cried out and was sent flying by the impact of her battle armor. You annoying fly. Fan Yun was unable to restrain his anger. He pressed his palm down and immediately, a chain of fire wrapped around the girl. So painful. The heavenly heart grass in the girl's hand was turning into ashes. The flames engulfed her beautiful face and body, but she still widened her eyes and looked at Lin Muyu on the rock wall. Immortals are omnipotent. Tears flowed out of Lin Muyu's eyes as she let out a cry like a wild beast. For her, there was nothing he couldn't do. Hong! A golden light shot out, and the supreme divine power returned to Lin Muyu's body like a storm. His eyes were slowly plated with gold. At the same time, dragon scales covered in flames flew out from the alternate space and condensed inch by inch around Lin Muyu to form a suit of armor. This was the armor of the awakened Acatosaurus. Pooh! Pulling out the long sword from his shoulder, Lin Muyu roared crazily. The stellar sword was slowly unsheathed, and a golden light soared into the sky. All of you must die. Chapter 628. Heavenly Realm, Pond of Illusion. In the image in the pond, a soul shadow slowly flew up from Li Mingye's body. That beautiful face seemed familiar. She looked at Lin Muyu with a smile. Her gaze was full of longing. Her body was involuntarily sucked into the sky. Ziyao's nose turned sour as she watched. Tears trickled down her cheeks as she said, If Ayu knew that she was Qin Yin's reincarnation, how regretful would he be? The 7 luminaries' demon emperor's expression was solemn. He said lightly, You doesn't know that she is Qin Yin. Qin Yin also doesn't know that he is you. Everything is destined by fate. Qin Yin died as a god and has now escaped into the 6 paths of reincarnation. The human path, the animal path, the Azura path, the ghost path, the purgatory path, and the heavenly path are all human paths. Sigh, he paused and then said, however, without Qin Yin's sacrifice, I'm afraid you would not have been able to break through to the Forgotten Realm and truly form this supreme destiny. Xiao was silent. Boom! An enormous dragon crystal with a radius of dozens of meters fell from the sky and crushed a group of Northern Qi cavalry. The dragon crystal fell to the ground and created a powerful impact that threw a group of cavalry nearby into a complete mess. Lin Muyu wore dragon armor formed by Acatosaurus. There was not a trace of emotion in her golden eyes. She raised her long sword and suddenly cut through the air. Fan Yun was dumbfounded. He quickly raised his arm. The light from the embryo of the sword shot into the sky. It was an exquisite book of the laws of ice. Immediately, a huge ice shield formed in front of him. Boom! The sword chi cut through the air, splitting the ice shield and Fan Yun's body in two. Fan Yun didn't even have time to make a sound before he was killed. He probably didn't think he would end up like this. Father, let's go. Northern Qi protected the Northern Qi eagle and fled in panic, but how could they escape? In the sky, golden clouds covered the sky. Lin Muyu stepped on the void, and with every step she took, golden god force rippled outwards. In her EC, a golden godhead slowly condensed, and endless god force flowed into Lin Muyu's body. The supreme godhead's god force far surpassed the other 4 grades of godheads, and the destructive power it could produce was naturally earth-shattering. Suddenly, Lin Muyu raised her left hand, and it was as if all the stars in the sky were grasped in her hand. A purplish-red blazing sun appeared in her palm. It was the 6th form of the astral arts, Purple Sun Shakes the Earth. Lin Muyu had been in slumber for 4 years, and the Supreme Sovereign Personality had also been dormant for 4 years. This was enough time for Lin Muyu to comprehend the higher level of the astral arts. The rays of the violet sun illuminated the night as bright as day. Lin Muyu stared at the ground with his golden eyes. At this moment, he was like a god looking at the ants on the ground. All life and death was in his hands. Buzz! With a wave of her arm, the energy of the violet sun fell onto the ground. Ah! The light came closer and closer. When the Northern Qi Eagle, Northern Qi Ji, and Northern Qi Hong turned around, their faces were pale. This was God's punishment for the human world. There was no way to avoid it. Boom! A semicircular explosion spread out on the ground. The energy of the purple sun shakes the earth spread out with a destructive force. The Northern Qi Eagle, Northern Qi Ji, and the others were instantly turned into ashes. Even the ground, forests, and mountains were blasted into a basin. What more these people's bodies of flesh and blood? An abyss with a radius of several hundred meters appeared in the Crimson Abyss. The 6th form of the star incantation's destructive power was a little too strong. Its power was almost equivalent to a large-scale magic crystal cannon shell, and its destructive power was even stronger. There was no one left alive in this forest. With the recovery of her divine power, Lin Muyu's memories had completely recovered. She murmured, "Xiao Yin, where exactly are you?" The golden divine light around her body slowly dissipated. Lin Muyu shed his supreme beginner god form. The golden light in her eyes also faded. The dragon armor broke down and turned into Acatosaurus. With a howl, it fell to the ground with its master. Lin Muyu picked up her Qiankuan bag from the ground. The things inside were all there. The Northern Qi Eagle did not touch them. He found a white robe from the bag and put it on. He looked completely new. Then he found Li Mingye's charred body among the corpses and ashes. He wrapped it in a cloth. Carrying her body, he leaped into the air and entered the realm of controlling the air to fly. The cloak behind him flapped. Lin Muyu flew faster and faster. There was a boom behind him, creating a sonic boom. This proved that his flying speed had surpassed the speed of sound. However, his divine power was still enough. As he continued to increase his speed, the plane in front of him suddenly began to have layers. It was as if countless blocks had appeared in front of him, allowing him to pass through them. Was this the power of breaking through the void? The power of the fourth dimension? Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, he had already appeared 20 miles away. This was probably the furthest teleportation distance that a cultivator at the first level of the godly state could achieve. In the middle of the night, Lin Muyu descended from the sky and landed in the quiet town. According to what Li Mingye had told you earlier, her home should be here. Lin Muyu carried Li Mingye's body and slowly walked through the town. Finally, she met a night watchman. She asked respectfully, "Sir, may I ask, where is Li Shu's home?" "Li Shu." The night watchman raised his lantern and found the 3 shining stars on Lin Muyu's collar. He was immediately scared out of his wits. Those who could have 3 stars were at least high-ranking officials of the general rank. He had never seen one. However, he did not know that Lin Muyu was the Qin king of the 3 kings. Otherwise, he would have fainted. "Li Shu, it's the last family on this street. It's the family of Qingmu sect." "Oh, thank you very much." Lin Muyu carried Li Mingye's body and walked straight to the house. As expected, there was a house with a green door. Li Shu's leg was injured. He did not knock on the door and jumped into the yard. He knocked on the door of the hut and said, "Is anyone there?" "Who is it?" Li Shu woke up from his sleep. Lin Muyu said, "Li Ming, she passed away. I'm here to send her home." "Ah, my granddaughter." The old man rolled down from the bed and stumbled to open the door. He saw Lin Muyu carrying Li Mingye's burnt body. Lin Muyu was wearing the armor of a high-ranking military officer. There were even golden-purple flowers on her cloak. However, the old man no longer had any respect for her. He recognized Li Mingye's face and knelt on the ground, crying. Lin Muyu also knelt in front of Li Mingye's body and said, "Old man, she was a good girl. She was killed by the bad guys to save me. Don't worry. I'll take care of you for the rest of your life." As she spoke, Lin Muyu took out a gold note and slowly placed it on the ground. "This is 100,000 Jinin coins. It's enough for you and Mingye's mother to live for the rest of your life. When I return, I'll send someone to bring you to live in Lanyan City in the capital." "Can this money buy back Mingye's life?" The old man's voice trembled. Lin Muyu's heart ached. She knelt to the old man and said, I'm sorry. I couldn't protect Mingye and let her die. For you. My name is Lin Muyu. You." The old man was terrified. "You're the Qin king, Lin Muyu?" "The Qin king? Maybe." Lin Muyu said lightly. "The Qin king. He has ascended to become a god." "Are you a god?" "I think." "My god." Li Sui quickly stood up to help Lin Muyu. "A god shouldn't kneel to a mortal." "I can't accept it, no." Lin Muyu said, "Humans and gods are one. There's no difference at all. Old man, I've wronged Mingye. I hope you can forgive me. I've already killed the person who killed Mingye. I've avenged Mingye." "That's good." Li Sui's voice trembled. "Your Highness, you're the hero who defeated the demons. If it weren't for you, Lingnan would have become the demon's territory. You saved the world and humanity. You don't have to feel guilty about anyone. It's her honor to die for your Highness. No, she didn't have to die for anyone." Lin Muyu bowed deeply again and said, "I'll be leaving soon. Please take care, old man." Soon, the Valiant Dragon Legion will send someone to pick you and Mingye's mother up to live in Lanyan City. You won't have to worry about food or clothing for the rest of your life. "Thank you, Your Highness." The old man kowtowed again. When he looked up, he found that Lin Muyu had already stepped into the void and disappeared in the wind. The old man was dumbfounded. He murmured, "Is that a god?" After forming the Supreme Godhead, Lin Muyu had already sensed that Qin Yin's aura was no longer in the Crimson Abyss. Even her Godhead fragment had disappeared with the passage of time. There was no longer any need to stay in the Crimson Abyss. However, he heard that Tang Xiaoxi was not dead, so the most important thing was to find Tang Xiaoxi and find out what happened back then. Moreover, Tang Xiaoxi's fate was unknown, and that worried Lin Muyu. He still believed that Tang Xiaoxi would not betray Qin Yin, just like how Qin Yin believed the same. There had to be a reason for everything. After finding out from the countryside that Feng Jixing was guarding Lingnan's Sunset City, Lin Muyu flew through the night towards Sunset City. Although flying consumed a lot of divine energy, it was much faster than riding a warhorse. She flew for 2,000 miles in one night, and by daybreak, she was already in the sky above Sunset City. Swoosh! He landed in the city. Sunset City was still the same as before. A group of peddlers selling sesame seed cakes and youtiao stared with their mouths agape at this person who had descended from the sky. Everyone knew that even Saint Realm experts were unable to fly. There were only two types of people who could descend from the sky. One was a birdman, and the other was a god. The young man before them was clearly the latter. Lin Muyu did not look at everyone's astonished gazes and went straight to the Sunset Palace. The Sunset Palace was still as glorious as before, but the decorations were a lot simpler. The glass palace lanterns had been moved away, and a group of soldiers wearing the Imperial Guard's military uniforms stood guard outside. When they saw Lin Muyu, they could not recognize her, but they recognized the military uniform. "Sir, may I know who you are?" Lin Muyu pays her respects to Prince Exin, Feng Jixing. Huh! The group of soldiers' jaws almost dropped to the ground. Lin Muyu. Qin Wang. Qin Wang. Chapter 629. The signboard of the Sunset Palace had been changed to Prince Xian's manor. In a pavilion deep in the manor, the guards had all been sent away. A person was sitting on the ground in the pavilion, and streams of divine heaven realm profound strength circled around his body. A faint golden glow appeared on the surface of his body. This was the outward appearance of a descending arhat at the 7th level of the Vajra physique. This person was none other than Feng Jixing. Ha! Feng Jixing opened his eyes abruptly. His spiritual senses had already sensed an extremely familiar aura approaching. However, it was different from the original aura. This aura was indistinct and contained a vast power source of righteousness. It seemed to be Lin Muyu's, but it was not the original Lin Muyu. "You?" Feng Jixing was stunned for a moment. He flipped over and stood up, not even taking the windslasher saber that he had placed on the tiles. With a single leap, he leaped out several tens of meters, heading straight for the outside of Prince Xian Manor. Outside the manor, a group of guards were kneeling, all of them wearing respectful expressions. Before them was Lin Muyu. 4 years had passed in the blink of an eye, and Lin Muyu's disposition and power had undergone a tremendous change. Even Feng Jixing could not tell how strong she was. Right now, Lin Muyu was like an abyss that had existed for 10,000 years. She did not reveal her abilities, but she was calm and composed. With a flash, Feng Jixing hugged his good brother. He was extremely agitated. "I thought that you had already died in the Crimson Abyss." Lin Muyu smiled and said, "How could that be?" Feng Jixing let go of Lin Muyu. He could see the faint golden flowing light on the surface of Lin Muyu's body and asked, "You've already stepped into the divine level?" Lin Muyu nodded. "That's great." Feng Jixing clenched his fists and said with a smile, "The first of us 4 heroes of Lanyan to step into the divine realm has finally appeared. Needless to say, you won't ascend, right?" Lin Muyu's expression was gloomy. "Before I find Xiao Yin, I will not ascend to the heaven realm. Big brother Feng, it's all thanks to you, otherwise, the empire would have been torn apart." Feng Jixing patted him on the shoulder. "Come on, let's go in and have a few drinks. We'll talk slowly." "All right." Under Feng Jixing's orders, the maids of the Wang residence quickly placed a table full of delicacies on the stone table in the courtyard. Fine wine was served and the sounds of horse hooves could be heard from outside the residence. Zhang Wei, Luo Yu, Chen Xiaoli and the rest had all heard the news and came over. "Greetings, Emperor Qin." "Greetings, Your Highness Prince Exit." The few generals bowed respectfully. "No need for formalities," Lin Muyu said. Zhang Wei looked at Lin Muyu's calm demeanor and could not help but smile. He said, "It seems that Emperor Qin has already proven his Dao and become a deity, right?" Lin Muyu thought of Li Mingye who had died for her and said, "It's just that my Dao is full of sacrifice and guilt. Feng Jixing said, let's not talk about those unhappy things. Since everyone is here, let's have a drink together. All right. Everyone gathered around the table. After a round of drinks, they started to talk business. Lin Muyu asked, I've been sleeping in the Crimson Abyss all these years to collect Her Highness Yin's divine power shards. I know very little about the Empire. How is it now? Luo Yu cupped his fists and said, Her Highness Yin's whereabouts are unknown, so, after we defeated the demon race, we decided on a national policy of 3 kings ruling the world. Commander Yu, you will be Emperor Qin, General Feng will be Prince Xan, and Commander Qin Yan will be Prince Zhong. In addition, we also conferred 4 dukes, namely Duke of the North Luo Xan, Duke of the South Xiangyu, Duke of Wei Wei Chou, and Duke of Zhong Zheng Yifan. In addition, there are 5 marquises, namely Su Jian Tao, Beili Tsang, Tang Zhen, Yao Yuan, and Su Yu. The 3 kings rule the world, but Emperor Qin has been sleeping for 4 years. During these 4 years, Prince Xian and Prince Zhong have been ruling the north and south. Everyone is waiting for Her Highness Yin to return and rule the world. Hearing Luo Yu's last sentence, Lin Muyu could not help but be moved and said, Yes, I am also waiting for the day Xiao Yin returns to my side. Feng Jixing looked at him deeply and said, If Her Highness Yin knew that you have such deep feelings for her, she would definitely be very gratified, right? It's just that, it is said that Her Highness Yin has already passed away. She has the overgod's godhood and has fallen. I am afraid that it will not be easy for her to reincarnate and find her past memories. I will not give up. Lin Muyu murmured, I will definitely bring Xiao Yin back to my side. What are your plans next? Feng Jixing smiled and said, Yen is guarding Lanyan City. He is well versed in martial arts, but he is quite clumsy in governing the country. Fortunately, Su Yu is assisting him, so Lanyan City can be maintained without chaos. But this is not a long-term strategy. You should return to Lanyan City to take charge of the overall situation. The Empire needs you. Before Her Highness Yin returns, you should guard this country for her. Lin Muyu did not express his opinion and asked, How is the situation with the demon race? Qian Feng has retreated to Tongtian province. He is afraid of the power of the magic crystal cannons, so he is on the defensive. Our spies are unable to enter Tongtian Gorge, so we are unable to find any news about the demon race's fairies' capital. What about Xiaoxi? Is there any news about Xiaoxi? I have been sleeping in the blood-red abyss for so many years, but I have not sensed the slightest trace of Xiaoxi's aura. She must still be alive. Someone saw that Princess She was captured by the Demon Emperor and the Sage Master. Perhaps, Princess She is in the demon race's fairies' capital now, Zhang Wei said. What? Lin Muyu stood up in shock. Xiaoxi is in the fairies' capital? It's just a possibility, Feng Jixing emphasized. He was afraid that Lin Muyu would be rash and charge into the demon race alone. This was not a good thing. Even though he had already stepped into the god state, if the Demon Emperor, the Sage Master, and Qian Feng joined forces, the chances of Lin Muyu winning were not high. I know which army is in Lingdong province. Duke Wei Wei Chou is in charge of the Longdan army camp and is guarding Lingdong province. Yes. At this moment, Lin Muyu had already made up her mind that Lingdong province would be her home. After all, Qin Yan and Qin Yin had been guarding Lanyan City for 4 years. It would not be good if she replaced them. Moreover, Lingdong was closest to the demon race. Instead of waiting aimlessly for Qin Yin to appear, she might as well make use of this time to exterminate the demon race. Although the demon race was strong, Lin Muyu had stepped into the godly state as a supreme being. She exuded a natural domineering aura, as if the entire world was within her reach. Let me go back to Lanyan City with you first? Feng Jixing said, Many people want to see you. Yao, Yen, Suyu, Great Deacon Guyang, and the others have all been worried about you for 4 years. You should go back to Lanyan City first and announce to the world that the Qin Queen, Lin Muyu, has returned. This will also make the people's hearts lean towards you, right? Lin Muyu was not in a hurry. She nodded and said, We will set off after this drink. Help me find a fast horse. No need. I have kept your mount, treading snow, with me. Now that she is fully grown, she is very fast and can be said to be the best horse in the world. I will bring her to you later. Really? That's great. To Lin Muyu, treading snow was very special. Treading snow was born from Tang Xiaoxi's mount, Snow Pear, and it was given to her by Qin Yin. It was very meaningful. Qin Yin disappeared in the sky above the crimson abyss and did not leave anything for her. Treading snow was one of them. After eating and drinking, Feng Jixing arranged 1,000 light cavalrymen to escort him and Lin Muyu to Lingbei province. In fact, these guards were unnecessary. After all, between Feng Jixing and Lin Muyu, one was in the Saint Heaven realm and the other was in the first heaven of the God state. In the whole continent, only they could bully others. Who would dare to bully them? Zhang Wei, Luo Yu, and the others were left to guard Lingnan. In addition, Lin Muyu ordered Zhang Wei to personally lead hundreds of cavalrymen to Bailing City to pick up Li Mingye's grandfather and mother. They would settle down in Lanyan City and make good arrangements. This was what he owed Li Mingye. Even though he could not make up for it, at least he could feel at ease. In the blood-red abyss, a wisp of soul slowly floated in the air. It was Li Mingye's soul. The little girl's body gradually grew and matured, turning into Qin Yin's appearance. Her memories returned to her Yi like a clear spring. Looking at the lush forest, Qin Yin suddenly let out a painful cry. She already knew that the immortal, not long ago, was Lin Muyu. Her heart was filled with unwillingness. It would be good if she could call him, but unfortunately, she could not do it. Fate played tricks on people. Bang! A blood-red door suddenly opened in the air. Two ferocious-looking gods rushed out. One was holding a pipa, and the other was holding a spear. They shouted, "Qin Yin, the time for reincarnation has come. What are you still waiting for?" Qin Yin looked at them with her eyes wide open. She was very scared. "Who are you?" "The two of us are the people who will escort you to reincarnation. I am Qin Ming, and he is Yu Wu. We are the gods of reincarnation in the heaven realm. Come with us. Your next reincarnation is about to begin." "No, I won't go. I want to stay here." Qin Yin shook her head repeatedly. Her beautiful face was full of tears. She said, I can't leave brother Yu alone in this world." Qin Ming's eyes flashed with a hint of respect. He said, "Lin Muyu has the sovereign latent personality. He will be one of the future rulers of the heaven realm. You don't need to worry about his future. You should worry about yourself. In the 6 paths of reincarnation, each has its own Tao. Your first reincarnation was achieved by sacrificing yourself. You have passed the test. However, there are still 5 more reincarnations. Once you pass all of them, you will be able to re-establish the sovereign latent personality." Cut the crap. Come with us." Qin Ming suddenly plucked the strings. Suddenly, a sound wave rushed straight at Qin Yin. "You!" Qin Yin opened her palm. A golden light shot up into the sky. A heaven dragon crystal flew straight at Qin Ming. Boom! Although Qin Yin's overgod godhead was already broken, the broken godhead was still extremely powerful. It actually forced Qin Ming to retreat continuously. Qin Ming flew into a rage out of humiliation and said, "For hundreds of thousands of years, I have absorbed countless souls, but I have never seen a soul as powerful as yours. Very well, I will show you the power of my 9 demons array. Yu Wu, get ready to capture her." Qin Ming suddenly plucked the strings. Suddenly, the sound wave spread out in all directions. Rays of golden Xian energy emerged around Qin Yin. They were like ropes binding her tightly. Qin Yin struggled with all her might. The giant heaven dragon crystal guarded her body. However, she was still no match for the power of a god. The heaven dragon crystal shattered. At this time, Yu Wu thrust the spear in his hand. The bells around the spear shook violently. In a blink of an eye, Qin Yin's soul was sucked into the spear. Then he swung the spear and Qin Yin fell into the darkness. Lights and shadows flew everywhere. Qin Yin was terrified. She saw birds and fishes appearing in the tunnel. She could hear the bellows of elephants and the roars of lions and tigers. one of the 6 paths, the animal path. Chapter 630. Her body turned into a beam of light and passed through countless stars like a meteor. Qin Yin could no longer see anything clearly. She could only hear the roars of beasts, the sound of fish swimming in the water, and the sound of eagles flapping their wings. After an unknown amount of time, a thick fog suddenly appeared in front of her. After passing through the fog, she saw countless animals roaring on the ground, and the beam of light that Qin Yin had turned into shot into the body of a green bird with a whoosh. Boom! Qin Yin's eye felt like it was about to explode. When she opened her eyes again, she was surrounded by darkness. She tried to use her palms to touch the space in front of her, but it seemed that she had lost her palms. What replaced them was a pair of tender wings. Her sharp beak involuntarily pecked at the hard shell in front of her. With a snap, a beam of light shone in. At this moment, she understood that she had already reincarnated into a bird. Coo, coo, outside the eggshell, a huge bird was right in front of her, looking at her with loving eyes. It was a Cyan swan, a bird that was good at fighting in the air. An adult Cyan swan could even kill a goshawk that was larger than itself. In the sky, apart from dragons, Cyan swans were the overlords of birds. At this moment, a hissing sound came from not far away. It was a giant python with spots all over its body. It was a flower iron python, a highly poisonous python and one of the overlords of the jungle. Kiki, Mother Green Swan screamed loudly, slapping hard with her wings and pecking hard at the flower iron python with her beak. However, the scales of the flower iron python were very thick, and it was a flower iron python that was more than 3,400 years old. It had become one of the spirit beasts, and Mother Green Swan had no cultivation at all. Obviously, she was no match for it. Hiss! The flower iron python abruptly bit Qing Hu's mother's leg and dragged her with its body. Qing Hu's mother screamed in agony, and her eyes were filled with love and pity when she looked at Qing Hu before she died. Qin Yin whimpered. The last memory and consciousness disappeared with the death of Mother Green Swan. At this moment, she forgot who she was again. All she knew was that she was a bird. Hiss! The flower iron python swallowed Mother Green Swan in a few bites, then slithered its huge body closer. The little Cyan swan struggled out of the eggshell, but there was nothing it could do. It could only look at the giant creature in horror. Arrows whistled through the air, piercing through the flower iron python's head. The big guy let out a muffled groan and slid down the tree, landing in front of a group of people. These people were all wearing military uniforms. Their uniforms were covered with armor, and their collars were adorned with shining golden stars. One of them got off his horse and kicked the flower iron python's body. He said with a smile, "Duke Wei's archery skills are truly one of the best in the world. To think that this 3,000-year-old spirit beast couldn't even withstand a single shot from you." Ha! The one riding on the warhorse was none other than Wei Chou. He put away his demon-devouring bow and said, "I didn't think that there would be such a venomous python in the bitter cold of Lingdong province. When we return to camp, tell the people in the Spirit Fire Department to be careful not to be attacked by the python. This 3,000-year-old spirit beast python eats people." At this time, Citizen looked up at the tree branch and said, "Duke Wei, there seems to be a nestling on the tree." "Generalson, go and take it down." "Okay, then you have to treat me to a drink." "Bah, I asked you to take a bird's nest, and you want a free meal. I really look down on you." "Ha!" Citizen jumped onto the tree trunk, held the bird's nest, looked at the young green gourd, and said with a smile, "This is a newborn Cyan swan. What should we do? Stew it tonight? It won't be enough." Sidu Shui couldn't help but laugh and said, "Brother, that's enough. Quickly take down the Cyan swan. This Cyan swan is a rare bird. It flies fast and is aggressive. As long as it is trained well, not only can it serve as a messenger bird to deliver letters, but it can also be a bird of prey to intercept and kill messenger birds." "Why, sister, do you want to raise it?" Sidu Sun jumped down and handed the bird's nest to Sidu Shui. "Tsk, look how cute it is." Sidu Shui teased the little bird and said with a smile, Duke Wei, give this cyan swan to me. I want to raise it. Wei Chou waved his hand and said, General Shui, if you want to raise it, then raise it. Anyway, you have the final say. I can't stop you if you want to raise it. Anyway, since Commander Yu fell into a deep sleep in the bloody abyss, you and your sister have become lawless. Just don't raise a mammoth in the camp. Oh, look at what you said. Mammoths have a big appetite, we can't afford to feed them. Hell, let's go back. Today's hunt is over. It seems that there are no traces of the demon race within 50 miles of the steel wall. Qianfeng has decided to stay dormant. Well, that grandson, Humph, Wei Chou turned over and mounted the horse. He pulled the reins and turned back to look in the direction of the bloody abyss in the southwest. He couldn't help but sigh and said, I don't know when the Lord will wake up. If the Lord wakes up, we can launch a counterattack. Yeah, my star's secret art has been stagnant. No one can guide me. Although Wei Chou was already regarded as one of the famous generals in the world, he still didn't dare to underestimate the enemy and advance rashly. The 200,000 Longdan army camp equipped with excellent magic crystal cannons didn't dare to enter Tongtian province. The only reason was that he was afraid of the scheming Qianfeng and the demon emperor. In front of a real commander like Qianfeng, Wei Chou still lacked confidence. Otherwise, he would have attacked long ago. The weather in June was slightly sultry, but Lanyan City was increasingly prosperous. Carriages of rare minerals and cloth were being transported into the city. The Zine Flower Merchant Association's flag was hung on the carriages, making them very eye-catching. Jin Xiaotang personally led a group of guards to the city gates to welcome them. This batch of resources was too important to the Zine Flower Merchant Association. Lin Muyu had been in a deep sleep for 4 years, so there was no one to provide the Zine Flower Merchant Association with top-notch weapons, medicines, and weapon embryos. As a result, Jin Xiaotang had to take on everything by herself. Xiaoting didn't cultivate martial arts. After 4 years, she had turned from a little girl who had just grown up into a charming lady from a wealthy family. She wore a fiery red pomegranate dress and looked slender and elegant. She was like a beautiful scenery outside Lanyan City's southern gate. Just then, a group of cavalry galloped over from the main road in the south. The flag-bearer was holding a flag of Lingnan's Sunset City. They were the people from Lingnan. Jin Xiaotang frowned and said, Are there people from Lingnan again? I remember that His Highness Prince Exin had just left not long ago. A guard at the side said, Miss Xiaoting, Lingnan is half of the empire. It's normal for them to have close relations with Lingbei. But look, that person wearing a golden cloak seems to be a prince. It's General Feng who has come personally. Jin Xiaotang's eyes narrowed as she smiled and said, Then what are we waiting for? Let's go over and welcome him. If we serve His Highness Prince Exin well, the prices of Lingnan's rations and food will be reduced by at least 20%. All right, we'll head over right away. The Zine Flower Merchant Association was a business that belonged to Lin Muyu, and Feng Jixing was naturally familiar with Jin Xiaoting. When Jin Xiaotang went up to welcome them, Feng Jixing couldn't help but smile. Oh, it's Miss Xiaoting. This commoner pays her respects to His Highness Prince Exin. There's no need to stand on ceremony. This time around, I've brought you a big surprise. Oh, what big surprise? Jin Xiaoting smiled and said, Could it be that it's 100 million caddies of Lingnan's premium rations? No, it's a living person? A living person? Jin Xiaotang was puzzled. Just then, a person galloped over from the back of the group and asked, Big Brother Feng, why has the group stopped? When he appeared before Jin Xiaotang in the white imperial forest armor, Jin Xiaotang was stunned. Tears gushed out from her eyes as she dashed forward and threw herself into Lin Muyu's embrace. The little girl was really strong, pouncing Lin Muyu off the battle horse. However, it was fortunate that he was a god. Streams of golden light appeared under his feet, allowing him to carry Jin Xiaotang and hover in midair. His cloak fluttered slowly, appearing extremely handsome. Oh, which clan's young lady is this? Lin Muyu smiled and asked. Jin Xiaoting waved her fists and hit his chest while crying, Big brother you've been gone for so long. Many people have said that you've died in Lingnan. I've gone to the Crimson Abyss to see you once, but I couldn't find you. Why are you only back now? Lin Muyu also knew that Jin Xiaotang must have had a hard time holding on for the past 4 years. She lovingly stroked Jin Xiaotang's long hair and said, "Hey, aren't I back now? I have something to do, so I can't come back early. Don't blame me, Xiaotang." Don't blame me, don't blame me." Jin Xiaoting wiped away her tears and realized that she was being held by Lin Muyu by the waist. They were hovering in midair and she was instantly shocked. "We're flying?" "Yes, is it that strange?" Lin Muyu smiled and slowly landed on the ground. Feng Jixing said, "Miss Xiaoting, you now, is a person with God's state cultivation. He's a genuine god." Jin Xiaoting couldn't help but blush. "Then I'm being hugged by a god, Lin Muyu." Feng Jixing. The Spirit Medicine Division was very quiet in the afternoon. A group of medicine refiners were busy in the medicine refinery hall, and some other staff members were sorting and storing the medicine that had been refined. Chu Yao was wearing the Spirit Medicine Division's Grand Deacon's robe, and she was counting the number of boxes filled with medicine. These medicines were to be sent to the various armies of the Empire, so she couldn't be careless. Suddenly, a burning sensation came from behind her. Chu Yao instinctively turned around and flipped her index finger. Suddenly, a beam of starlight fell from the sky and landed on the place she was pointing at. Buzz, a golden divine power barrier appeared, forcibly deflecting the star-seizing finger's power. It wasn't damaged in the slightest. After the golden light dissipated, a familiar figure appeared in front of Chu Yao. "Big Sister Chu Yao." Chu Yao's body trembled, and she couldn't speak. Lin Muyu walked up to her and hugged her tightly. Chapter 631. The next day, during the morning court assembly, the officials of Lanyan City gathered at Zetian Hall. The drumming outside the hall shook the heavens, as if telling everyone that a major event had happened in Zetian Hall, and this major event was naturally the return of Lin Muyu. If there was no Lin Muyu, it would not be considered the Three Kings ruling era. Xing Yifan held the jade tablet in his hand. He was already old, but because of his profound cultivation, he did not appear slow. By the side, Zheng Fang respectfully followed his father up the gilded stone steps of Zetian Hall. Qin Yan stood outside the hall and greeted with cupped hands, saying, "Duke Zhong, you're here." "This old subject greets your highness Qin Yan." Zheng Yifan returned the greeting and asked, "The drumming in today's court assembly reverberated endlessly. I wonder what happened. Can your highness tell me a thing or two?" "Of course." Qin Yan smiled faintly. "My big brother is back." "What?" Zheng Yifan's entire body trembled and he said in surprise, "Commander he's back?" Qin Yan nodded heavily and did not conceal his pride in the slightest as he said, "Big brother has returned with deity realm cultivation." He, Duke Zhong, please come inside. Everyone is already waiting." When Xing Yifan and a few other old subjects walked into Zetian Hall, the officials in the court assembly were also almost all present. As one of the 4 dukes, Xing Yifan was at the forefront of the court assembly. When he walked over, he saw the 2 princes, Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing, currently whispering something in low voices. He went forward and said respectfully, "This old subject Xing Yifan pays respect to your highness King Qin." Lin Muyu smiled faintly and raised her palm lightly, lifting up Xing Yifan's arms like she was raising her hand. She said, "Divine Marquis need not be so courteous." "Duke Zhong need not be so courteous." Xing Yifan said, "For your highness you to be able to return safe and sound, this is the fortune of the empire. This old subject is very gratified." Lin Muyu nodded. "Isn't it the fortune of the world that Duke Zhonghua is loyal to the country?" Facts had proven that even though Xing Yifan was often said to be a disloyal subject, Xing Yifan didn't do anything during the Battle of Tsonglin Valley. Unlike Tang Lan and Su Muyun, Xing Yifan only wanted to protect his reputation as a meritorious subject of Soaring Cloud's pavilion. If Qin Jin hadn't pressured him too much, Xing Yifan wouldn't have had any rebellious thoughts. What he wanted was not the world, but the good reputation of a loyal subject. Not long after, the female official, Shengguan Jingyue, appeared with a sword in her hand. It was the desolation sword that Qin Yi had lost when he was fleeing from the sword pavilion. It was the sword of the late Emperor Qin Jin, and also the national treasure that symbolized the emperor's authority. Now that Qin Yin's heaven-suppressing sword had disappeared, the desolation sword had once again become the symbol of the 9 cauldrons, the symbol of the world's divine weapons. Lin Muyu, the emperor of Qin, has returned. From now on, the 3 kings will rule the world together. Su Er placed her hand on the hilt of her sword and walked up to the throne. She said, "Servants, bestow Lin Muyu the emperor of Qin's imperial seal, the tiger tally and the sword." 3 palace maids walked forward with a golden tray and respectfully knelt in front of Lin Muyu. And Lin Muyu also knew the rules. Seeing the desolation sword was like seeing Qin Jin. She respectfully knelt in front of Su Er and raised her hand to receive the rewards one by one. First was the Emperor of Qin's imperial seal. The imperial seal was stored in an extremely exquisite treasure box. When Su Er opened the lid of the box, she saw that there was a seal carved out of beautiful jade, and the sides were inlaid with gold. Su Er raised the jade seal and saw 4 large words and 4 small words engraved at the bottom. "Receive the mandate of the heavens, seal of the Emperor of Qin." This jade seal represented the greatest authority in the Qin Empire, and it was no different from the Emperor's seal. When Lin Muyu held the jade seal, he had mixed feelings in his heart. When the power of the world was at his fingertips, he would rather the person holding the jade seal was still Qin Yin, and he was just a commander protecting the empire. "Emperor of Qin, please receive the tiger tally," Su Er said respectfully. "Aunt Xie." Lin Muyu looked at her, and Su Er's expression was also very complicated. After all, the world originally belonged to Qin Yin and the Qin family, but now it had become the rule of the 3 kings. To a certain extent, the world had already changed dynasties. After receiving the tiger tally and the sword, Lin Muyu stood up and put the sword seal into her universe sack. Then, she stood side by side with Feng Jixing and Qin Yan on the seat of honor at the front of the Great Hall. Su Er quickly walked down the stairs and stood behind Xiangyu. She was only one of the 5 marquises, and in terms of status, she was inferior to Xiangyu, Luo Xin, and Zhen Yifan. There was also Duke Wei Chou, but Wei Chou was far away in Lingdong province and could not participate in the morning court. "Congratulations on your highness's return to the throne." The officials all knelt down and shouted, "Long live your highness." Lin Muyu did not feel good about it and stood rooted to the ground. Feng Jixing raised his eyebrows and said, "Since your highness has returned and the 3 kings are here, we can discuss any unresolved matters in the imperial capital." Firefinch Abbot Xiao Han immediately stepped out and cupped his fists. "Your Highness, I have already found out that the culprit who forced the 7-Sea King Tang Lan to death in 100 Ridge City was Lingnan Province's #1 Heavenly Book aristocrat, Northern Qi. I ask that your Highness immediately give the order to remove Northern Qi's eagle from his position as governor and wipe them out in one fell swoop." "No need." Lin Muyu waved her hand. "I just left 100 Ridge City a few days ago. Northern Qi's eagle and Northern Qi's Jew have already been executed by me." "Ah!" Xiao Han was stunned. "Your Highness, why did you kill them? Could it be that you already knew they were the masterminds behind Tang Lan's death?" "No, I only killed them because Northern Qi killed the innocent." Qin Yan smiled at the side. "Big brother, I heard that you killed the Empire's #1 enemy, Luo Lan, in the blood-red abyss?" "Yes," Lin Muyu nodded. "Luo Lan wanted to find trouble, so I took care of him along with his disciples." "That's good." Qin Yan clapped his hands and said with a smile, "In this case, the Empire's only mortal enemy is the demon race. As long as we exterminate the demon race, we can complete the great cause of unification." At this time, Zhen Yifan said, "Your Highness, King Qin, has just returned to Lanyan City. I wonder what your plans are. I suggest that you use this free time to reorganize the Holy Temple, Spiritual Medicine Department, and Heavenly Book Library. After Her Highness Yin ascended, the 3 departments have been in a mess. Only Your Highness has the ability to reorganize them." No, I still have other things to do. Lin Muyu looked at Shen Yifan and said, Yen and you, Divine Marquis, are enough to reorganize the 3 departments. I'm going to the east. East? Su Yu was stunned. What are you going to the east for? Lin Muyu could not help smiling. Could it be that Aunt Lien has forgotten that the Longdan Army Camp is my home? I'm naturally returning to the Longdan Army Camp in Winter Frost City. Moreover, annihilating the demon race also requires my strength, isn't it? The 3 kings rule the world. Yen guards the north, Big Brother Feng guards the south, then I'll guard the east and deal with the demon race. There's no need to discuss anymore. I've made up my mind. Yes. Su Yu and Jin Yifan saluted at the same time. Actually, everyone was very clear in their hearts that 2 tigers could not live on the same mountain. Although it was the 3 kings rule the world, if Lin Muyu stayed in the imperial capital, who would have the final say between him and Qin Yan? If that was the case, it would be better to go to Lingdong province. Moreover, Lingdong province's strategic location was too important. If the demon race wanted to send their troops, they would have to pass through Winter Frost City. There was no better candidate than Lin Muyu, who had stepped into the divine realm to guard Lingdong province. However, Feng Jixing did not say it directly. He did not want Lin Muyu to go to Lingdong province. After all, guarding Lingdong province would mean that she would have to fight to the death with the demon race. Moreover, Lingdong province's land was barren. It was the poorest province among the 12 provinces of the empire. The entire province's economic income was not even 1/10 of Lanyan cities. It was obvious how poor it was. You have to think it through. Lin Muyu turned to look at Feng Jixing and said, But Big Brother Feng, you can't be idle in Lingdong. Lingdong is a land of fish and rice. You must send a large amount of resources to Winter Frost City every month. In addition, all the major provinces of the empire should transfer an appropriate amount of people to live in Lingdong. Rebuild Lingdong province and make this province rich. Of course. In addition, Lin Muyu looked at the court officials and said, Where is Xiling? At the end of the court officials, Qin Xiling walked out with a jade tablet in his hand and said, Your subject is here. Lin Muyu smiled slightly and said, Xiling, pick some people from the Department of Armaments to go with me to Lingdong. We will smelt iron and forge magic crystal cannons in Winter Frost City. Otherwise, it will be too inconvenient to transport magic crystal cannons from Lanyan City to Winter Frost City. Moreover, Lingdong province is backward and barren. We will need you to bring advanced iron smelting technology. Yes, your subordinate will obey. Qin Xiling was secretly delighted. It was his life's wish to serve Lin Muyu. Although the imperial capital was in Lanyan City, Lin Muyu was the king of Qin, the head of the 3 kings. If he followed the king of Qin, his status would not be inferior to the court officials in Zetian Palace. In fact, he might even be superior. Whether it was official or personal, following Lin Muyu was definitely the right choice. Then get ready. We will leave early tomorrow morning. Yes. Feng Jixing said, I will transfer 5,000 elite soldiers from the Holy Temple and the Imperial Army to escort you and Xiling. Yes, thank you, Brother Feng. Tonight, I will stay at the Imperial residence in the north of the city. Okay, we will go as well to see you off. But in the blink of an eye, it was night. Lin Muyu stayed in Lanyan City for a day and was about to leave. He could not let himself be idle. He had to wander around and try his best to find the whereabouts of Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. In the east, at least, Tang Xiaoxi was there. At night, in the imperial residence in the north of the city, Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, Qin Yan, Su Yu, Chu Yao, Jin Xiaotang, and the others gathered together and drank to their heart's content for Lin Muyu's farewell. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, Feng Jixing stood up, patted Lin Muyu's shoulder, and said, Since we are leaving tomorrow, let's spar. Let Brother Feng witness the power of a god. Oh. Lin Muyu looked at him with a smile. Brother Feng really wants to see the power of a god? Yes. By the side, Su Yu and Qin Yan also said excitedly, Right. Brother Feng has already reached the pinnacle of the Holy Heaven realm and can step into the God realm at any time. It's just right for us to broaden our horizons. Chu Yao smiled and said, "We can spar, but fists and feet have no eyes. You must be careful and stop when you go too far." "Don't worry," Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing said in unison. Chapter 632. Biyuan Hunting Ground was the largest open space in the temporary imperial residence. It was about 5 miles in circumference, and there were some cloud deer, wild rabbits, chamois, and other small animals kept there for the new talents and old officials of Lanyan City to hunt. But now, it was the best place for Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing to learn from each other. These two guys were not to be trifled with, and their destructive power was extraordinarily strong. "Everyone, stay away," Feng Jixing said with some fear. He knew Lin Muyu's strength too well. When he was in the Holy King realm, he could challenge an expert at the first heaven of the divine realm with his twin martial souls and star arts. Now that he had also stepped into the divine realm, one could imagine how terrifying his strength was. Su Yu, Chu Yao, Qin Yan, and the others were all masters, and Su Yu, the weakest among them, was already at the second heaven of the heaven realm. But because of Feng Jixing's words, all of them retreated far away, and watched the two peerless masters fight from about a mile away. The night breeze blew, blowing Feng Jixing and Lin Muyu's cloaks. Now, Lin Muyu had also changed into a golden cloak embroidered with purple flowers, which was the symbol of royal power. She still had to take into account her status. Although Lin Muyu was undisciplined by nature, she had long learned the difference between different ranks in this chaotic world. Obeying the rules would save her a lot of unnecessary trouble. Lin Muyu smiled slightly, clenched her fists, and said, "I am in the divine realm, and Brother Feng is in the holy realm. It is not fair to begin with. I will let Brother Feng make 3 moves first." Feng Jixing raised his eyebrows and smiled. "Brat, are you really not going to draw your sword?" "There's no need." Lin Muyu laughed arrogantly. "Brat, you're too arrogant. Be careful." Feng Jixing let out a low roar, and a thick king's battle flame rose from his body. A Saint Heaven stage aura descended from the sky and crushed everything in the surroundings. Plants and rocks were instantly crushed into powder. However, under the destructive Saint Heaven stage aura, Lin Muyu was like a fish that had escaped the net. She was calm and relaxed, and the sovereign matrix in her EC released strands of golden divine power, which completely destroyed the Saint Heaven stage aura. "He's here." Feng Jixing suddenly crushed the rock under his feet. Becoming one with the blade, he attacked like lightning. The roar of the purple electric flame wolf soared into the sky. He lifted the wind cutter blade and fiercely struck. Suddenly, a storm of fire and lightning tore the earth apart and rushed towards Lin Muyu. The storm was at least 100 meters tall, and its momentum was terrifying. Su Yu, Chu Yao, and the others were all dumbfounded. The group of guards on duty was so shocked that they retreated, afraid that they would be affected by this apocalyptic power. As the storm of fire and lightning approached, Lin Muyu's expression was abnormally calm. She suddenly raised her right palm and slashed at the storm. Bang! Lin Muyu's palm slashed the storm in half like a sharp blade. The storm that contained the power of the Saint Heaven stage was like a stream meeting a boulder, and Lin Muyu's cloak fluttered in the wind. Rays of golden light flashed around her. She didn't even use the dragon blood battle shield or the wall of the gourd to block Feng Jixing's attack. "Brat?" Feng Jixing was stunned. The 7th form of the windwalking saber arts was his famous technique, but he couldn't even touch a hair on Lin Muyu's body. This was a huge blow to him. He quickly took a deep breath to calm himself down. Wind blades whistled around the wind-cutting saber in his hand, and he leaped into the air. This time he attacked from the sky. The 8th form of the windwalking saber arts, heaven-hating Dao. In an instant, Lin Muyu felt like she was in a burning abyss. The power of Feng Jixing's heaven-hating Dao after reaching the Saint Heaven stage was completely different from before. When Lin Muyu raised her head, she felt like thousands of wind-cutting sabers were slashing down from the sky. She didn't know how to defend at all. However, Lin Muyu had the strongest defensive martial soul in the world. Instead of retreating, she leaped into the air and took out the 7 luminaries' celestial gourd. With a buzz, a dazzling golden light lit up the night, and a round gourd wrapped around Lin Muyu's body. This was the perfect defense. Clang, clang, clang. Sparks flew as the blades slashed down on the gourd. When all the wind-cutting sabers had been slashed down, the last one, the real wind-cutting saber, descended from the sky. Bang! The power of the Saint Heaven stage collided with Lin Muyu's sovereign god power. The gourd's wall finally couldn't withstand such a concentrated attack and collapsed. However, the rebound from the sovereign god power also forced Feng Jixing back. His blood flow was a little chaotic, and he retreated dozens of meters with his saber. He couldn't help but feel his battle intent rise. What a perfect defense, brat. When they first met in the dragon-seeking forest, Lin Muyu couldn't even fight back against Feng Jixing. Now that the tables had turned, Feng Jixing actually felt very helpless. After breaking through Lin Muyu's defense, he had used up all the power in his saber, but Lin Muyu still had some energy left. If Lin Muyu had attacked just then, she would have had a high chance of killing him. In fact, the outcome of the battle had already been decided. But Feng Jixing knew that a true expert had to be trained through battles. To be able to have a peerless expert like Lin Muyu as an opponent was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Face and whatnot were secondary. Becoming stronger was the most important. Again! Feng Jixing let out a low roar. The purple electric flame wolf martial soul roared unceasingly, once again raising his strength to the pinnacle. Immediately, the windcutter saber let out a wang 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 sound. Rays of purple wind blades continuously flew and cut the air, actually making pa 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 sounds. These wind blades seemed to have broken through the limits of space, and could launch an attack from beyond space. Lin Muyu was stunned. This attack wasn't simple. He started to use the sovereign god power, and he immediately entered his god form. His eyes turned golden, and his body seemed to be plated with a faint golden light. Using his golden eyes, he saw that the laws of the four-dimensional space were being broken through by Feng Jixing's wind blades. This made Lin Muyu think of a term, dimensional wind. That's right, these were wind blades that had broken through the dimension. Feng Jixing's attack had probably far surpassed the power of a Saint Heaven realm cultivator. No wonder this guy wanted to spar with her. He had actually cultivated such a powerful saber technique. This is the 9th technique of the windcutter saber technique. I named it the Demon God Slash. You have to be careful. Feng Jixing said cautiously. He was also afraid that his saber would hurt Lin Muyu. After all, it was fine for brothers to spar, but it wouldn't be good if they got hurt. Don't worry, come. Lin Muyu smiled. Okay. Feng Jixing bellowed, and he rushed over like lightning. However, when he was less than 10 meters away from Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing's figure suddenly disappeared. Lin Muyu was stunned. She took a closer look with her golden eyes and realized that Feng Jixing didn't vanish. Instead, he broke through the limits of his speed. His silhouette was so fast that it was almost impossible for a mortal's eyes to capture it. In an instant, tens of Feng Jixing silhouettes attacked from all directions. The dimensional wind blades flew towards Lin Muyu's body. No, even the dragon blood shield might not be able to block this attack. If he couldn't block it, it would mean that he would be injured. Lin Muyu decisively used his supreme divine power and jumped into the spatial crack. The power of breaking through the void made it seem as if he had disappeared on the spot. Bang! The ground where Lin Muyu was originally standing became a deep pit. The crisscrossing saber light cut out countless small spatial cracks. The fact that Feng Jixing could cultivate such a technique was enough to prove how outstanding his martial arts talent was. Where is he? Feng Jixing raised his saber and took a few steps forward. His face was ashen. It's my turn. Lin Muyu's voice came from behind him. A beam of golden starlight shot up into the sky. It was the initial starlight. The starlight that Lin Muyu shot out with her bare hands was as terrifying as the initial starlight. Feng Jixing quickly turned around and raised his saber horizontally. With a deep growl, the 7th level of the diamond body defense instantly condensed around his body. Bang! A world-shaking strike. Under Lin Muyu's punch, Feng Jixing and his horse were pushed back nearly 100 meters. The soil and grasses on the ground splashed and danced in the air. This simple punch seemed to be able to destroy the world. Again! Feng Jixing's blood and qi surged inside his body, and his mind was a bit messed up. Instead of defending, he raised his saber and attacked. His left hand was holding a dimensional wind blade, and his right hand was preparing for the second, divine demon cut. With a deep growl, he attacked like a lightning bolt. His movement speed was too fast. It was as if the profound meaning of the wind element had reached perfection. Lin Muyu's heart sank. She raised her palm and used the third move of the star scripture, 5 mountains descending from the sky. Bang! Dust flew everywhere. The golden divine power, flame, and lightning mixed together and shot up into the sky. The entire ground was shaking. Even the walls of the palace in the distance had begun to crack. Good heavens, Chu Yao's pretty face was a bit pale. Don't tell me that you and Brother Feng are going to tear down this palace? No, this is only the beginning. Su Yu looked into the distance. A purple sun was reflected in her beautiful eyes. Lin Muyu slowly flew up from the ground. Divine power and ancient characters were faintly discernible around her. She raised her right hand, and a purple flame appeared in her palm. It grew bigger and bigger, and its power became more and more terrifying. It was the 6th move of the star scripture, Purple Sun Shakes the Earth. It was easy to imagine how terrifying the purple sun shakes the earth was when it was infused with supreme divine power. When the purple sun had condensed to a radius of 1 meter, Feng Jixing suddenly sheathed his saber and shouted, "Ah, you, stop fighting." Why not? I don't want to die yet. Feng Jixing laughed. Lin Muyu also laughed. She waved her hand, and the power of the star scripture turned into spirit energy in the wind. The purple sun also disappeared. He floated down and landed on the ground. He said, "If Brother Feng steps into the god realm, he will definitely be a very powerful god." Really? Feng Jixing laughed. I'll be counting on your auspicious words. At this time, Chu Yao, Su Yu, Qin Yan, and the others also walked over. Feng Jixing said, "The ancient records say that when mortals ascend to immortality, the godhood they form is divided into 5 levels. The 5th is the mortal godhood, the 4th is the heavenly Tao godhood, the 3rd is the immortal godhood, the 2nd is the master godhood, and the 1st is the supreme godhood. Her Highness Yin's godhood was the 1 in 10,000 master godhood. Which level is Yu's godhood?" Lin Muyu shook her head. "I don't know. You can easily kill Luolan, so it shouldn't be a mortal godhood. I'm not too sure either. When I was in the blood-red abyss, my godhood suddenly awakened. Although killing Luolan was easy, I fell into a deep sleep for 4 years. When I woke up, I even lost my memory and forgot everything. It wasn't until the 2nd godhood awakening that I remembered everything." "Forgot everything?" Feng Jixing was startled and said in shock, Could it be that you formed the supreme godhood? Heavens, this is the supreme godhood that is 1 in 100 million. How would I know? Let's continue drinking. I don't know when we'll meet again. Then let's go." Chapter 633. The Divine Realm. Lin Muyu held the silver noble that was provided by the military with both hands, nodded and said, "After stepping into the divine realm, a divine spark will be formed in the Ihai. This divine spark is the crystallization of a lifetime's cultivation. The Ihai will give birth to an endless stream of divine power and soul power. Coupled with the power provided by the martial soul, one's strength will undergo a rebirth. Secondly, after stepping into the divine realm, one's understanding of the plane's power will naturally break through and enter a new realm that is shattering the void, the law of 4-dimensional power." Feng Jixing, Qin Yan, and Su Yu listened with burning gazes. Feng Jixing said, And then, it's like this." Lin Muyu sat up straight. Suddenly, the cloak around her fluttered without wind. A layer of gold quickly covered her eyes. The golden eyes looked at everyone and said, The eyes of a god are completely different from mortals. They can see through the invisible power of space, so I can see through Big Brother Feng's dimensional wind blades. In addition, my night vision and discernment abilities will also be greatly improved, making it easier to find opponents and hunt them down. Su Yu could not help sucking in a breath and said, "Use eyes? I'm really not used to it. In your eyes, is the current Aunt Rose still the same as before?" Lin Muyu smiled. "Yeah, Aunt Rose is still as charming and amorous as before." Su Yu's face turned red. "Brat, you actually dare to make fun of your elders." Qin Yan at the side said, "My cultivation realm has only just stepped into the holy region, and among the few of us, General Feng's cultivation realm is the highest, the peak of holy heaven realm. Big Brother, when do you think Big Brother Feng will step into the divine realm?" Well, Lin Muyu looked up at the sky outside the tent. His eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. He could faintly sense the existence of the heaven realm and the pulse of the god's divine power in the heaven realm. It was so tyrannical and endless. He took a deep breath and said, "Just like what Big Brother Feng said, gods are also divided into 3, 6, and 9 ranks. Among them, the status is determined by the divine spark. I don't know why I formed a sovereign spark, but Xiao Yin's divine spark is the divine spark. So Big Brother Feng, don't be in a hurry to break through the divine realm. If you break through, just forming a mortal spark will greatly affect your future cultivation." Feng Jixing stared in shock. Then what should I do?" "Let's wait a little longer. I'll try my best to contact the 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor in the Heaven Realm and see if he can find me a forged immortal horoscope or a heavenly Dao horoscope. After refining the god horoscope, you'll be able to form a stronger god horoscope. Anyway, even if you manage to form the mortal horoscope, your strength will only be on par with Luo Lan. You'll be defeated within 10 moves if you encounter someone with the same cultivation as you." Alright, I won't break through for now." Feng Jixing raised his wine cup and drank it in one gulp as he said, My diamond body protection hasn't progressed after reaching the 7th heavenly stage." "Why is that?" Lin Muyu thought for a moment before smiling. "It's very simple. The 8th heavenly stage of the diamond body protection is the divine power protection. Presumably, only someone with divine power can cultivate this skill. Once you step into the divine realm and become a god, you'll definitely be able to do it." Then I don't have to worry." Lin Muyu nodded and looked deeply at Feng Jixing. "Big Brother Feng, it's been hard on you these past 4 years. You've been busy dealing with complicated government affairs and didn't have much time to cultivate. Otherwise, with your talent, you might have already stepped into the divine realm. Next, hand over the government affairs to Luo Yu, Xiahou Sang, and the others and focus on cultivating. Look, I've been searching for Xiao Yin's divine spark in the blood abyss for 4 years, which is equivalent to cultivating for 4 years. My mental state has long reached the great accomplishment stage, so Xiao Yin's 4 blades helped me step into the divine realm. The 5th blade helped me break through the divine realm and step into the divine realm." I understand." Feng Jixing rubbed his nose and said bitterly, "You really don't know how expensive rice is until you're in charge. You, on the other hand, slept and cultivated for 4 years. If I didn't manage the Qin Empire, it would have been torn apart long ago. Do you think I don't want to focus on cultivation? I also want to ascend to the heavenly realm and chase a goddess as my wife." Lin Muyu was speechless. She smiled and said, "To chase a goddess as your wife, you need to be strong enough. Big Brother Feng, don't be in a hurry to ascend. Wait until I find a powerful divine spark for you. Otherwise, if you form a mortal divine spark and ascend to the heavenly realm, your strength will at most be low. There are so many goddesses in the heavenly realm, they might not like you. After all, strength is what matters in the heavenly realm." Su Yu smiled and said, "Is it appropriate for the 2 of you to talk about chasing a goddess? Don't forget, the devil race hasn't been destroyed yet. If we don't destroy the devil race and unify the Qin Empire, are you willing to ascend to the heavenly realm?" "Anyway, I won't ascend before I find Xiao Yin," Lin Muyu said with certainty. His expression became solemn. Feng Jixing patted his shoulder and said, "Good brother, Xiao Yin is blessed by God just like you. Otherwise, she wouldn't have skipped the Saint Heaven realm and directly stepped into the God realm. She has the divine spark and will definitely live forever. Don't worry. I'm leaving Lanyan City tomorrow. What about you, Big Brother Feng? Return to Lingnan Sunset City and continue to guard Lingnan and pacify the people. Don't forget, you killed the governor of Lingnan province that I appointed. I have to help you clean up this mess, don't you? Lin Muyu suddenly looked disgusted and said, Don't talk about it. The Northern Chi Eagle is not a good person. He used the Tianshu family to bully the poor people. Such a person should have been killed a long time ago. You actually appointed him as the governor of a province. Do you think I want to? After the Battle of Shangyang City, there is no one who can speak in the whole of Lingnan. Talents are needed everywhere. I am already at my limit dealing with the Swift White Province, Lingtian Province, and Mingshan Province. If it weren't for the Northern Qi Prefecture guarding Lingnan Province, I'm afraid that refugees would have already run everywhere. The consequences would be even more unimaginable. Alright, I can't win against you in an argument. Let's continue drinking. We won't go home until we're drunk. Alright, let's drink. The next day, in the mist of the early morning, the 5,000 metal cavalry under Lin Muyu's command, as well as the nearly 500 technical staff and craftsmen that Qin Xiling had transferred from the Bureau of Weapons of the Ministry of Works, set off one after another. They did not bring much rations, only dry rations. They traveled quickly on horseback. All food and supplies could be taken care of at the towns along the way. Feng Jixing, Su Yu, Qin Yan, and the others watched Lin Muyu leave. Each of their faces carried a gratified smile. Lin Muyu's return as a god had undoubtedly given the Qin Empire, which had been swaying in the wind and rain for 4 years, a pill of reassurance. The rule of the three princes had always been controversial. Just because the name was not legitimate and his words were not justified, the various feudal vassals frequently rose in rebellion, causing the various provincial armies to be exhausted in suppressing them. These 4 years seemed peaceful, but it was still 4 years of war and chaos that the people had to endure. Now that Lin Muyu had returned and the Empress's sworn brother was in power, those who had always had rebellious thoughts would definitely be deterred. Furthermore, Lin Muyu possessed god-level powers. Regardless of whether it was her popularity or her strength, they had already reached the peak for a period of time. 5 days later, the troops passed by Wugu City, the capital of Tsangnan Province. Su Jiantao came out of the city to welcome them, and when he saw that Lin Muyu was not dead, he cried tears of joy. 9 days later, they arrived at the steel protective wall. 14 days later, they entered the border of Lingdong Province. When Lin Muyu, who was riding on Takshu, appeared on the hillside at the border of Lingdong Province, she saw a group of cavalrymen galloping over from afar. Dust filled the sky, and they were holding the battle flag of the Longdan army camp. The people from the Longdan army camp had arrived. Sensing with her supreme power, Lin Muyu smiled cheerfully. Wei Chou, Sidu Sen, and Sidu Shui were all here. Presumably, Feng Shi and Bai Yin had been left behind in Winterfrost City to oversee the camp. She dismounted, leaped into the sky, and flew straight to a group of subordinates. When Lin Muyu landed, Wei Chou and Citizen each came to her left and right for a bear hug. Your Excellency, Your Excellency. Wei Chou's eyes were filled with tears, but he still addressed Lin Muyu as before, and said in a trembling voice, Wei Chou thought that you would never come back. Citizen did not cry, but he did not speak either, for fear that he would cry if he did. Lin Muyu was very touched. Although she and these people were superiors and subordinates, they were better than close friends. There was no other person in the imperial army who could treat each other with such sincerity. On the side, Sidu Shui's beautiful eyes were filled with tears as she silently looked at Lin Muyu. General Shui, don't cry. Lin Muyu looked at her and said with a smile, If you cry, I'm afraid that I won't be able to control myself. Sidu Shui did not know whether to laugh or cry. Your Excellency, you teased me as soon as you came back. Lin Muyu laughed and took a step back. She looked at the people and said, How are you all? The 3 of them knelt on one knee and saluted, Your Highness, we are all well. That's good. Get up. Lin Muyu pointed behind her and said, I've brought Qin Xiling and a group of skilled craftsmen from the Ministry of Works back. They will all be stationed in Winterfrost City. From now on, Winterfrost City will be the home of our Longdan army camp. Yes, Your Highness. The group's faces were full of joy. Situsen said, Your Highness, Lingdong Province is a desolate place where even birds don't shit, and there are not many people in Winterfrost City. To tell you the truth, there are less than 4 million people living in Lingdong Province, which is less than the population of Lanyan City. Our Longdan army camp being stationed in Winterfrost City is like being sent to the frontier. If we live here for a long time, I'm afraid that our brothers will complain. Don't worry. Lin Muyu mounted the horse and said with a smile, I've already talked to Brother Feng and Ai Yen. All the provinces will transfer and migrate people to Lingdong Province. We just need to cultivate more wasteland. Although Lingdong Province is cold, it will be suitable for planting for 4 to 5 months. Besides, Wei Chou is now Duke Wei, and Lingdong Province is his fief. We can't let it be barren all the time. Yes, Your Highness. Wei Chou said gratefully, Thank you, Your Highness. My fief is also Your Highness's. Don't mention it. How many days is it from here to Winterfrost City? 3 days. Hurry up. I want to reach Winterfrost City as soon as possible. Lin Muyu's starry eyes looked to the northeast, where the Tongtian Gorge was. It was rumored that Tang Xiaoxi was trapped in the Tongtian Gorge. Chapter 634. 3 days later, Winterfrost City. The city, which was built with black brick walls, no longer looked lifeless. The flags of the Dragon's Courage Legion and the Empire fluttered above the city. When Lin Muyu appeared in front of the city wearing a golden cloak, countless soldiers on the city wall raised their weapons and cheered loudly. The war drums were beating, and they celebrated in unison. Lin Muyu's return was like a new life for the Longdan army camp. Amidst the sound of iron chains twisting, the iron gate slowly rose. Wei Chou smiled respectfully and said, Your Highness, please enter the city. The brothers in the city have already prepared a sumptuous banquet. All right. At the mention of food, Lin Muyu's 5 Viscera temple was instantly filled with joy. He even began to doubt if he was a real god. Logically speaking, a supreme existence like a god would be able to absorb the rain and dew from the heavens and earth. However, he felt so hungry every day that he skipped a meal. This was something that he found hard to talk about. Lin Muyu raised his iron fist and immediately gathered his divine power. A golden light enshrouded his fist, and he maintained this posture as he slowly rode his horse into the city. Instantly, the soldiers inside and outside the city became even more frenzied. Lin Muyu was originally a godlike existence in their hearts, but now Lin Muyu was a real god. He was the faith of the 200,000 soldiers in the Longdan army camp. An army needed such fanaticism, and Lin Muyu firmly believed that. Otherwise, the morale of the army would fall apart. After entering the city, Fengxi and Baiyin came forward and knelt together. Greetings, Your Highness. Get up. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. Let's go. Bring me to the banquet. Yes. They slowly marched on the main road of Winterfrost City. Outside the residences on both sides of the road, there were many civilians of the Empire. They all looked at Lin Muyu with doubtful or expectant expressions. Many of them knew that Lin Muyu's arrival would bring vitality to this land. Many of the civilians in the city had been enslaved by the demon race, and they knew that this handsome young prince was Lin Muyu, who destroyed the Thunder Rush Legion in the Demon Fall Valley. Naturally, they regarded Lin Muyu as the god of the Lingdong province. At the side, Wei Chou said, Winterfrost City has been hit by war time and time again. Now, there are less than 200,000 people, which is similar to the military strength of the Longdan army camp. Therefore, most of our clothes and food are transported from Tsangnan province and Lingnan province. However, this is not a long-term solution. Winterfrost City is still relatively spacious. It should not be a problem for it to accommodate 1 million people. Don't worry, the population will rise. Lin Muyu smiled. You have to have confidence in me. Wei Chou laughed. Of course. At this time, they had arrived in front of the city lord's mansion. The city lord's mansion had also been ravaged by war, and the walls were covered with marks of swords and axes. As the first town to resist the invasion of the demonic race, Winterfrost City was like an abandoned child to the empire. Now, Lin Muyu was here to avenge the humiliation of humanity. Sidu Shui looked up at the mayor's residence and said, "This residence has been in decline for a long time. The decorations and layout inside are not good enough to be King Qin's residence. It is even shabby to be Duke Wei's residence. Milord, should we renovate this future King Qin's residence?" "There is no rush." Lin Muyu waved her hand and said, "Let's talk about it when we have money." "Yes, I understand." As expected, a banquet had already been set up in the mansion. Although the mansion was rather simple and crude, the level of the banquet was not low. There were all kinds of meat from birds and beasts. With Wei Qiu, a natural-born hunter in the Bile Dragon camp, it would be very convenient for him to eat wild animals. Everyone sat down. With Lin Muyu's arrival, everyone felt at home. Situ Sen, Situ Shui, and Feng Shi were all people whose parents were not around. The Longdan army camp was almost their home. They felt a sense of belonging. "Your Highness, please enjoy your meal." A beautiful maid carried a tray with 3 golden cauldrons and golden cutlery. This was the treatment of a noble. Lin Muyu took a look. The 3 golden cauldrons contained cloud deer meat, snake meat stew, and boiled fish. There was not a single vegetable in them. They were very practical and pleasing to the eye. He couldn't help but smile and said, "I didn't expect that the standard of food in Winterfrost City would not be lowered." Situ Shui smiled faintly and said, "Even though Lingdong province is barren, more than 70% of its area is made up of mountains and forests. Birds and beasts gather here. There are thousands of miles of green mountains in the north, and Copper Helmet Mountain in the south, which is rich in resources. Duke Wei often takes us out to hunt, so there is definitely no shortage of food. If it weren't for those mine thieves, there would be more prey in Copper Helmet Mountain." "Mine thieves?" Lin Muyu was stunned. "What do you mean by mine thieves?" Wei Chou cupped his fists and said, "Your Highness, there is a mountain range that stretches for hundreds of miles, 50 miles southeast of Winterfrost City. It is called Bronze Helmet Mountain. 3 years ago, someone discovered that there are very rich mineral deposits in Bronze Helmet Mountain. There are gold, silver, iron, and copper mines. So, many illegal merchants from Cloud Province, Songnan Province, and Lingkong Province have entered Bronze Helmet Mountain to mine privately. We have tried to stop them, but we have no choice." "How's the mineral reserves?" Lin Muyu asked as she thought of something. Wei Chou said, "Very rich. Everyone says that Songnan Province is rich in mineral deposits. However, I have gone to survey Bronze Helmet Mountain. The mineral deposits in Bronze Helmet Mountain within 300 miles are comparable to the entire Songnan Province. Unfortunately, we don't have enough manpower, so we can only send thousands of people to mine. Those bastard mine thieves have taken advantage of us." "That's a good thing." Lin Muyu squinted her eyes and smiled. Wei Chou was stunned. How can this be a good thing? These illegal merchants are excavating the resources in your Highness's fief. "I know. But can they finish excavating Bronze Helmet Mountain within 300 miles? Lin Muyu smiled. "Since we don't have enough manpower, we can rely on these merchants to help us excavate and help our Prosperity Ridge Winter Province in iron smelting, commerce, and trade." What do you mean?" Citizen was also at a loss. Lin Muyu explained with a smile, "We can draft a decree for Prosperity Ridge Winter Province. Anyone who wants to do mineral business is welcome to mine in Bronze Helmet Mountain. However, according to the law, 70% of their mining income must be paid to Winterfrost City. Think about it, even if they only get 30%, they will still make a profit. These merchants will definitely hire a lot of manpower to mine in Bronze Helmet Mountain, which will attract more people to Winterfrost City. These merchants also need to make a living, so they will build mansions in Winterfrost City. With more people coming and going, the business of restaurants, cloth shops, and rice shops will gradually improve, and more people will settle in Winter Frost City. With the Bronze Helmet Mountain mine alone, we can make Winter Frost City prosper. More importantly, with the minerals that the merchants give us, we can smelt iron and forge weapons. Not only will the equipment in Longdan Army Camp be self-sufficient, but we can also do business in weapons and armor. That's a huge profit. Wei Chou, Sidu Sen, Sidu Shui, Feng Shi, and the others were dumbfounded. None of them expected that Lin Muyu was not only talented in cultivation, but also a good businessman. Of course, everyone wanted to protect the mines in their territory, but none of them was as good at business as Lin Muyu. Are there many birds and beasts in Bronze Helmet Mountain? Lin Muyu asked again. Not bad. Situ Shui said, Bronze Helm Mountain is very close to Winterfrost City, so there aren't too many high-level spirit beasts here. There are only a few ferocious beasts like tigers and wolves. If it weren't for these tigers and wolves, I'm afraid the mine thieves would be even more rampant. Lin Muyu smiled and said, organize the guards of Longdan Army Camp to go up the mountain and eliminate the beasts, so that the merchants can mine in a safe environment. We need to promise the outside world that it's absolutely safe. In addition, send 100,000 soldiers of Longdan Army Camp to set up temporary camps around Bronze Helmet Mountain and prohibit private mining. Those who want to mine in the mountain must sign an agreement with Winterfrost City, and those who don't hand over 70% of their profits will be punished according to the law. Yes, I understand. Wei Qiu had a face full of smiles and said, tomorrow, this subordinate will send the relevant documents to all parts of Lingdong Province. No, not just Lingdong Province. Announce this decree to the whole world, and attract mining merchants from all over the world to mine in Lingdong Province. Yes, I understand. Late at night, the banquet ended. Wei Chou, Situ San, and the others went to prepare for the new decree, while Qin Xiling led a group of craftsmen to the new residence under the guidance of Bai Yin. Fortunately, there were still many vacant residences in Winterfrost City, so it wasn't difficult to arrange for this group of people. In a small courtyard in the depths of the mansion, Lin Muyu crossed his arms and looked up at the sky. His mind was indescribably peaceful, and his eyes were slowly plated with gold. His divine power kept rippling in the surroundings. He closed his eyes and used his heart to feel everything around him. At this moment, the young supreme head in his Yi suddenly shone brightly, and a thought followed Lin Muyu's mind straight to the sky, penetrating the laws of planes, and reaching the celestial realm, which was completely different from the mortal world. He tried hard to find that familiar aura. Finally, after nearly an hour, in a corner of the celestial realm, Lin Muyu suddenly found it, and couldn't help but be overjoyed. At the same time, there were some ripples in the Pond of Illusion in the celestial realm. Not far from the Pond of Illusion, a god king holding a saber couldn't help but be stunned and said, Someone from the mortal world wants to break into the celestial realm. Hurry up and call His Majesty, the Demon Emperor. An ultimate god flew away. However, at this moment, a majestic voice came from the sky above the Pond of Illusion. There's no need, I'm already here, all of you move away. This isn't someone trying to break into the Pond of Illusion, but someone is looking for me. Yes, Demon Emperor. Beside the Pond of Illusion, a group of ultimate gods and god kings knelt on one knee. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor slowly descended, raised his arms, and slowly parted the water of the Pond of Illusion. Suddenly, spiritual energy appeared above the Pond of Illusion with a whoosh, slowly condensing into the figure of Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu, as a mortal, had an audience with the god of the celestial realm. This was a very rare scene. You little brat, you made me worry for a long time. The Demon Emperor smiled reproachfully. Lin Muyu looked around in a daze and said, This is the celestial realm. That's right, when are you going to ascend? Big Brother is waiting for you here. Oh, I'm not here to ascend, Lin Muyu said. I want to ask the Demon Emperor something. You want to ask about Qin Yin's whereabouts, right? Big Brother, you know? Why wouldn't I know? You don't have to ask. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor flicked his sleeves and said, Qin Yin has a heavens will over God persona. She is the master of the law of light between heaven and earth, but she was killed in the human realm. Her overgod persona had no place to condense, so it turned into billions of spiritual essence and scattered across the 3 realms. In other words, her soul has dispersed, and now Qin Yin's spiritual essence has entered the 6 paths of reincarnation. The 3 realms have their own laws, you can't overstep them at all. You can only wait for Qin Yin to reincarnate and awaken her memories to look for you. Big Brother really can't do anything about this. If that's the case, then I have one more thing. Little brat, I thought you were here to chat with me, but you're here to collect a debt. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor said slightly angrily, looking displeased. Chapter 635. Tell me, what else do you want me to do for you? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor asked indignantly. Lin Muyu was a little embarrassed and said, I heard that after ascending from the human world, the godheads are divided into 5 grades: mortal godhead, heavenly Dao godhead, forged immortal godhead, overgod godhead, and sovereign godhead. I have a good brother who is about to step into the god realm, so I asked the Demon Emperor to help me find a forged immortal godhead. It would be even better if it's the overgod godhead. You stinking brat. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's face twisted and said, Do you think the current 3rd grade godheads are cabbages? Do you think you can get them just because you want them? Do you know that more than 90% of the gods in the heavenly realm are mortal godheads? Of course I know that the first 3 grades of godheads are hard to find. Otherwise, why would I look for you? I could just look for Fairy Ziyao. Tui, stinking brat. The Demon Emperor was so angry that he couldn't speak. His face and neck were red, but the smile on his face was clearly saying that he was glad that you could say that. On the side, within the dense light, Fairy Ziyao's figure flickered and appeared. She giggled and said, You actually didn't look for me directly but looked for the Demon Emperor. This makes me so sad. Do you not trust me that much? Do you think that I can't find the first 3 grades of godheads for you? That's not it. Lin Muyu said, It's just that it's more justified to tell the Demon Emperor. You're really self-righteous. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor spat and said, Enough, quickly retract your divine power. Don't you know that it's very wasteful for the gods of the mortal world to have an audience with the heavenly lake? Luckily your godhead is the sovereign godhead. Otherwise, you would have lost your divine power long ago. Don't be so impulsive next time. If you want to find me, just call my name to the sky. Lin Muyu also blushed. How many times have I called your name to the sky in the crimson abyss? But you've always been pretending to be dead, haven't you? What are you talking about? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor laughed. Am I that kind of god? Obviously not. Besides, there's really nothing I can do to save Qin Yin's life. If I heard your prayer and went down there without helping you, wouldn't it ruin my image as the 7 luminaries demon monarch? Don't you think so? Lin Muyu snorted and laughed. This explanation is simply nonsense. You bastard, you haven't seen me for so many years just to quarrel with me. You're the bastard. How dare you say that you're omnipotent? You can't even save Xiao Yin, and you still have the cheek to call yourself the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor? I think you're just immortal. Bah, a weakling. Ah, Lin Ruoji, you little brat. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor flew into a rage, and the heavenly realms suddenly rumbled. It was as if the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's emotions could already affect the weather of half the heavenly realm. Xiao laughed and said, All right, both of you stop quarreling. You, focus on cultivating in the Shattered Cauldron realm. The Demon Emperor and I will think of a way to get a cast immortal fate for your friend as soon as possible. Don't worry, quickly retract your divine power. All right, then I'll leave it to Fairy Ziyao. Lin Muyu cupped her fists, and her figure slowly dissipated above the heavenly lake. The group of godly venerable gods, divine kings, and emperor gods were all stunned. Most of them were cultivators who had ascended to godhood as mortals, but they had never thought that the scattered gods in the mortal realm could use their telekinesis power to penetrate the walls of the heavenly realm and the mortal realm. How strong was their telekinesis power? Demon Emperor, calm down, said Xiao with a smile. The 7 luminaries' Demon Emperor also smiled. After heaving a sigh of relief, he said, "Do you think I'm angry? Ha, it's been a long time since I've had such a hearty quarrel. How refreshing." Xiao was speechless. After a while, she said, "Demon Emperor, you needs a cast immortal fate. He's most likely looking for it for Feng Jixing. What should we do? Should we forge a new immortal fate?" "Yes, since that kid is asked as his big brother, I can't not help him," the 7 luminaries' Demon Emperor asked. "Xiao, how many godheads do we have in our storage?" "A total of more than 3,400 godheads, but most of them are mortal ones. The best one is just over 100 heavenly Dao godheads. There's no cast immortal fate. I remember. Divine King Fire Dance Ouyang Yan's cast immortal fate was taken away by us, right? Wasn't her godhead given to the gods of the southern heaven realm as a gift? Otherwise, why would they so easily agree to help us attack the western heaven realm? Damn, I forgot about that." The 7 luminaries' Demon Emperor grinned and said, "Then there's no other way. We can only forge it ourselves. Go to the storage and bring 10 heavenly Dao godheads over. I want to refine 10 heavenly Dao godheads' spiritual essence crystals and forge a cast immortal fate." "But," Fairy Xiao pursed her red lips and said, "but if you personally refine the cast immortal fate, you will lose at least 100 years of your cultivation. The war between us and the gods of the western heaven realm is imminent. Wouldn't it be bad for you to lose your cultivation? Demon Emperor, don't forget that there are many experts among the gods of the western heaven realm. It is said that their sacred heaven realm angels are extremely powerful. The strength of the 6-winged angels is comparable to our Eastern Heaven Court's God Emperors. They control the peak power of the law of light. The outcome of this battle is still uncertain. Don't worry, 100 years of cultivation is a piece of cake for me. Furthermore, I will absorb some divine power from the godheads to replenish my lost cultivation. It's already amazing if I lose 3 to 5 years of cultivation. As for the Western Heaven Realm, after the Eastern Heaven Court's recast, they actually repeatedly violated our borders. If I don't exterminate them, I won't be called the 7 luminaries' Demon Emperor." After saying so much, when are we going to start refining this cast immortal fate? Cough cough, at least wait until after I have a meal. Alright, I'll go prepare a meal and 10 heavenly fate for you. Wait for me at the Extreme Sky Palace. Alright, how do you plan to deal with the hundreds of savage goddesses that we captured when we attacked the Northern Heaven Realm? I heard from them that you want to choose 30 goddesses with the best figures and the most upright faces to be your concubines. 1 for a night and 1 for a month? Xiao, what kind of person do you think I, the 7 luminaries' Demon Emperor, am? Release these savage goddesses and let them plant spirit rice for our Eastern Heaven Realm. You really don't feel heartache? I don't feel heartache. The 7 luminaries' Demon Emperor clenched his fists as tears slid down the corners of his eyes. He looked at Xiao's back and suddenly called out softly with affection, "Xiao, Xiao sweetly turned around and asked with a smile that was like a flower, "What's wrong? Do you have something to say to me?" Say it." Xiao's heart was beating wildly. The 7 luminaries' Demon Emperor murmured softly, "Let all the gods in the Eastern Heaven Realm keep it a secret. We can't let the rest of the gods in the Heaven Realm know that you has formed the sovereign godhead. Otherwise, it's inevitable that someone will cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. After all, no one wants a young supreme god to grow up and become a strong opponent." Alright. Xiao's mind was filled with a million Mother asterisk curs as she activated War Trample and ran away without looking back. The Demon Emperor looked at Xiao's back desolately and felt that she would never return. Swoosh! A beam of telekinesis turned into a golden light and entered Lin Muyu's Yi. Her divine consciousness returned to Lin Muyu's Yi, and the young sovereign godhead immediately dimmed. In just a few minutes, the telekinesis had consumed at least half of the sovereign godhead's divine power. However, it didn't have much of an impact, and it would recover after a few days of rest. Lin Muyu clenched her fists and couldn't help but feel a little complicated. The 7 luminaries demon emperor couldn't find Qin Yin, and she really didn't know where Qin Yin's sovereign godhead had drifted to in the 3 realms. At this time, she saw Sidu Shui walking to a cage not far away with grains in her hands and feeding a little bird in it. She looked very happy and even talked to the bird. "Qingyu, grow up quickly. When you grow up, you will be the eyes of Winter Frost City. Do you know how much courage is on your shoulders? Oh no, on your wings?" Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. She walked forward and said, "Ah Shui, what are you doing? Where did this bird come from?" "It's your highness." Situ Shui didn't feel restrained and said with a smile, "Last time when I went hunting with Duke Wei Cho, I shot a python and saved this little bird. Unfortunately, its mother had been swallowed by the python. Why, does your highness also know how to raise birds?" "I don't know, but it's not good to keep it in a cage." "Is that so?" "Yes, otherwise how can it spread its wings and fly in the future?" "Hee, that's true." "Then take it out of the cage." When Sidu Shui took the young green swan out of the cage, it actually flapped its wings that hadn't grown feathers and were full of fluff. It ran on the log toward Lin Muyu and chirped at Lin Muyu, but no one knew what it was saying. Lin Muyu sensed a familiar aura, but she couldn't tell it clearly. Looking at the young bird, suddenly her eye was in turmoil, and she couldn't help but shake her head violently. "Your Highness, what's wrong with you?" Sidu Shui was stunned. "This bird and I are actually connected by a strong telekinesis." Lin Muyu was stunned. What's wrong with me?" "This means that you and my green feather are fated." Sidu Shui smiled slightly. "Is that true?" Lin Muyu was dubious. She slowly probed the young green swan with her telekinesis, but found that her telekinesis couldn't penetrate the thoughts of the green swan. No wonder, she was a god, and it was just a feathered animal. How could there be a telekinesis response? At the thought of this, Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile indifferently. "Ah Shui, are you going to raise it as a scout?" "Well, does your highness want it too?" "I have never raised a bird." Sidu Shui looked at him angrily. "You obviously want it very much, but you refuse to welcome it. Your highness, you still treat me like an outsider. In that case, I will let you raise green feather, but I have to see it once a day, is that okay?" "Yes, it doesn't matter if you see it 100 times. Okay, this is its favorite grain. Your highness, you can feed it yourself." "Okay." Chapter 636. Several months later, the divine power in Lin Muyu's body had recovered to its peak, and Qingyu was growing stronger and stronger. Her wings were becoming more and more plump, and she was even eager to try flying, but she failed again and again. On the 17th of August 7741 of the imperial calendar, the weather was very hot in the morning, and the training bugle sounded in the barracks of Winter Frost City. Lin Muyu walked out of the tent. She was dressed in a simple green and white outfit, looking like a ranger. She was also wearing the Empire's military uniform and armor. Sidu Shui, who was standing outside the door, was slightly taken aback. "Your Highness, why aren't you wearing your uniform?" "Because I'm going on a long journey." "You're finally going?" Sidu Shui's expression became solemn. She knew that Lin Muyu always had something that she wanted to do, but had not had the time to do it. "It's time." Lin Muyu looked to the north and said, "Xiaoxi is imprisoned in Heaven's Gorge, and I don't know if she's alive or not. I have nightmares almost every night. Whether she killed Xiao Yin on purpose or not, she is still Xiaoxi, someone very important to me." "Ah Shui, these days, many caravans from the 10 provinces have been gathering in Winter Frost City, and our goal has been achieved. Winter Frost City will become more and more prosperous because of this. I'll leave this place to you and Wei Cho. Tell Wei Cho to guard Lingdong province on my behalf." "Yes, I understand." Sidu Shui said softly, "Your Highness, you have to be careful too. Heaven's Gorge is the nest of the demons, and it's not that simple. You may be a god, but I know." Lin Muyu patted Situ Shui's shoulder and said, "I'll leave Qingyu and Takshu in your care. Wait for my return." Lin Muyu smiled faintly and took a few steps back. Suddenly, a spatial crack appeared behind him and Lin Muyu disappeared from where he stood. This was the legendary ability of a god to break through the void and travel 100 miles in a single leap. Sidu Shue's eyes widened as she stared at the place where Lin Muyu had disappeared. She was both envious and sad at the same time. Once this army commander was gone, she always felt that something was missing. Swoosh! Lightning and the power of space intertwined, and Lin Muyu appeared in the forest dozens of kilometers north of Winter Frost City. Lingdong Province was barren, and the villages and towns were far less densely packed than North Ridge Province and Songnan Province. There was no sign of human habitation within 5 kilometers, so Lin Muyu did not have to worry about anything. She leaped onto the clouds and flew toward the north. The teleportation ability could not be used continuously, and even Lin Muyu's paragon personality could not support continuous teleportation. However, she could teleport once every 5 minutes, which greatly reduced Lin Muyu's speed. However, she was not in a hurry to go there. After all, Tang Xiaoxi had been in the demons for 4 years. If she was really killed, a few more seconds would not make a difference. About a kilometer above the ground, Lin Muyu flew as she observed everything on the ground. After passing the steel wall, she would reach the boundary of Heaven's Span Province. Among the 12 provinces of the empire, only Heaven's Span Province had not been completely reclaimed from the hands of the demons. However, the demons were gradually losing control of Heaven's Span Province. The valiant Dragon Legion constantly sent out cavalry to harass them, forcing them to retreat step by step from the provinces at the edge of Heaven's Span Province. Along the way, Lin Muyu saw the Imperial and Demon banners intertwined together. There were small skirmishes almost every day, and the final result was that the demons had all retreated into Heaven's Span Gorge. At noon, Zhang Tai was in the sky above Heaven's Span City. This city was the provincial center of Heaven's Reaching Province, which was a poor province only inferior to Lingdong Province. Originally, Heaven's Reaching City had about 300,000 residents. However, there were less than 100,000 people enslaved by demons now. Lin Muyu flew in the air and saw everything in Heaven's Reaching City clearly. Teams of armored demons were carrying broadaxes and spears and escorting groups of human craftsmen. At least, Iha country pretentiously declared that all living beings were equal. However, demons were completely suppressed. No wonder demons were declining day by day. Ha! All of a sudden, sharp voices drifted from the clouds above. It was the Wing People's troop. There were countless Wing People's scouts in the sky above Heaven's Span Province. They had shot all the messenger birds that Longdan Army Camp sent out for reconnaissance. Therefore, Longdan Army Camp knew almost nothing about the situation in Heaven's Span City. About 70 to 80 winged ones flew over together and let out sharp cries. The winged ones were also feathered beasts. They did not know how to speak the human language, nor did they know how to look at people. They did not understand how a human could fly like them without wings. They did not know that this was the ultimate level of human cultivators, God. Arrows flew over. The Wing People's first method of attack was to shoot arrows. Lin Muyu could not help but smile. Her heart was filled with killing intent. Suddenly, she opened her arms. Suddenly, the space seemed to be frozen. Golden balls appeared in the sky. It was the divine power of the law of space and the pressure of God's domain. For a moment, all the arrows could not fly. The invisible force field turned into a golden light with Lin Muyu as the center and spread out in all directions. Ping ping. Almost without Lin Muyu doing anything herself, the bodies of the 78 Wing People were all crushed by the pressure of God's domain in the air. They exploded into a pile of flesh and blood and fell down. Piles of Wing People's corpses fell into the city. Lin Muyu did not want to cause any trouble. She stepped on the void and left with a pop, turning into a meteor and falling towards the north. Pa, pa, pa. When the piles of Wing People's corpses fell into Heaven's Span City, a group of armor demons was scared out of their wits. They waved their battle axes in the air and roared, "Steel bar, scavenger sand." Unfortunately, they could not see any opponents. It was a power that these armor demons could not touch. To them, Lin Muyu was too powerful. She was a godlike existence and could not be bothered to fight these ants. When they saw the wing people's corpses fall, the enslaved humans smiled. An old man who had his hands and neck locked could not help but laugh out loud. Damned demons, you'll get what you deserve sooner or later. Just you wait, the Imperial Army of Lingdong Province will definitely recover Heaven's Span City. That day will be the day you die. Shut up. A high-ranking demon rode past on a horse and lashed out with a whip. The old man's back was immediately lacerated, and he fell to his knees with a pained cry, unable to move anymore. The young high-ranking demon looked at the piles of wing people's corpses on the ground and said coldly, "The humans are attacking from the sky. They must have tamed flying beasts. Men, report to the divine capital immediately and request for 2 giant flying snakes to defend Heaven's Span Province's aerial domain. We can't just hand Heaven's Span Province over to those despicable humans." "Yes, my lord." A horse galloped out of the city and headed north. On the northern edge of Heaven's Span Province, at the border between Heaven's Span Province and Heaven's Span Gorge, a blue sky screen rose into the sky. It reached up to the sky and down to the Inferno Prison, separating the Middle-earth continent and Heaven's Span Gorge into 2 different worlds. This sky screen was called the Wall of the World by the demons, and its function was obvious. If not for the existence of this Wall of the World, human scouts would not have been completely ignorant of the divine capital. Lin Muyu landed on the ground and crouched in the grass outside the road. She was about 5 kilometers away, but after her eyes were coated with golden light, her eyesight instantly increased tenfold. She could see everything within 5 kilometers clearly. There, a group of armor demons was transporting carts of armor, shields, and weapons into Heaven's Span Gorge. At the forefront, a high-ranking demon held a long sword with a calm expression. After arriving in front of the sky screen, he slowly raised his arm and raised a fiery red seal. He shouted, "Wall of the World, open!" Swish, swish, swish. As he moved forward, the Wall of the World opened like a curtain, revealing a picturesque scene inside. This high-ranking demon raised his arm and watched as the armor demons transported the goods into Heaven's Span Gorge. "What's that?" Lin Muyu frowned. "A tiger seal carved from a fiery red stone? This thing produced a faint energy that could actually restrain the energy of the Wall of the World. It was not simple. However, Lin Muyu did not intend to steal such a fiery red seal to enter the Wall of the World. She intended to challenge the Wall of the World. With a leap, he flew close to the ground and arrived at an uninhabited place dozens of kilometers away. Lin Muyu slowly approached the Wall of the World and reached out his palm to touch the Wall of the World. Instantly, a piercingly cold energy burned his palm. If not for the protection of his divine power, his right hand would have been destroyed. He suddenly opened his palm, and the supreme divine power surged as he struck at the Wall of the World. The wave of energy spread out, and the entire Wall of the World and the earth seemed to tremble. However, Lin Muyu's palm could not penetrate the Wall of the World. It could only make it tremble. Instead, the energy in the Wall of the World converged and suddenly counterattacked, causing Lin Muyu to retreat dozens of steps. The blood and qi in his body became chaotic. Lin Muyu could not help but be excited. What a powerful force! Interesting. Clang. The star's sword was unsheathed, and golden light plated his eyes. For a moment, the light around him soared into the sky, and golden battle spirals lingered around him. Under the concentration of divine power, the star's sword shone brightly. Lin Muyu mustered all his strength and slashed down at the Wall of the World. 5 elements, 8 wastelands annihilation. Bang! The world was still shaking. The power of this sword was so strong that it tore the ground dozens of meters under Lin Muyu's feet into a deep pit, as if a storm had broken out here. The sky was buzzing and trembling, and cracks had already appeared. As expected, the energy of this sky was not endless. It could be shattered. Lin Muyu mustered all her strength and let out a deep roar. Streams of astral energy gathered on her sword. Her strongest attack was coming. 7 glorious stars transformation. Bang! Even before the power of the 7 glorious stars transformation was fully unleashed, The canopy of the sky had already begun to collapse. When the countless stars of the 7 glorious stars transformation fell from the sky, the poor canopy of the sky was instantly pierced through like a sieve. The canopy of the sky within a radius of several tens of kilometers was affected by the chain reaction and exploded one after another. A small half of the sky-piercing gorge was already in sight. At the edge of the broken canopy, streams of subwind power were burning and flashing. Lin Muyu's sword had split open a 50-kilometer-long hole, and the devil race would definitely not be able to repair it in a short time. Suddenly, a sense of weakness came from inside her body. After all, the backfire of the 7 glorious stars transformation was too strong. Even Lin Muyu with the powerful soul power of the supremacy personality couldn't be completely immune to it. Fortunately, this feeling of weakness was not serious. She only lost half of her cultivation and would probably recover by itself in 10 minutes. Whoosh! Rushing into the sky-piercing gorge like lightning, Lin Muyu's heart was filled with joy. Looking at everything in the sky-piercing gorge, she couldn't help but murmur in her heart, "Xiao Shi, where are you?" Chapter 637. It was dusk and the setting sun shone down from the west. But when Lin Muyu flew into the heaven's gorge, she found that it was like another world. The sun hung high in the sky, scorching hot. How was it dusk? Indeed, the heaven-reaching gorge didn't belong to the Shattered Cauldron realm in the first place. It was an existence that was connected to another dimension. Papa. Behind him, there was a huge hole in the world wall. Sparks were coming out from the edge of the hole and the fire was spreading. If there was no power to repair it, the hole would only get bigger and bigger. Lin Muyu flew rapidly above the forest and quickly entered the gorge. What came into view were dozens of cities in the gorge, and there were even more in the distance. No one knew how big the Heaven's Gorge was, but to be able to nurture an army of hundreds of thousands or even millions of demons, it must be a fertile land. No, I have to find out where Tang Xiaoxi is being held. After landing on the ground, Lin Muyu hid herself in the grasses. She saw a group of people slowly walking towards her from afar. Over 30 armored demons were escorting almost 200 humans. These humans were as skinny as a match with their hands tied with ropes. They should be demon craftsmen. Demons lacked human craftsmen the most. Therefore, they always gained advanced forging ability by suppressing humans. If there were more than 30 armor demons, it would be easy to deal with them. Moreover, there was a high-level demon among them, which made things even easier. They could keep him alive and interrogate him about Tang Xiaoxi's whereabouts. Lin Muyu abruptly jumped out of the grasses as she rushed towards a team of armored demons in the distance like a small storm mixed with green grasses. Steel bar. The group of armored demons was dumbfounded. The only high-level demon who escorted them shouted, "Quick, block that thing." 3 armored demons roared and rushed forward. However, as soon as the sword light flashed by, these armor demons were all split into halves. Lin Muyu almost raised the speed of her falling star steps to the extreme. She flew through the crowd like a bolt of lightning. 3 seconds later, she suddenly stopped. Behind her, the armor demons could not move at all. Their bodies were tied up by visible whirlwinds. Lin Muyu clenched her fist lightly. Peng, peng, peng. The group of armor demons were all cut into pieces by the wind blades. "Who are you?" The only surviving high-level demon looked at her in fear. This high-level demon had never seen a human kill more than 30 adult armor demons so easily. Moreover, the power she used was not like that of a human at all. It was more like that of a god who could summon wind and rain. Lin Muyu approached him step by step, and the invisible pressure of the supreme god's domain pressed down on him, causing beads of sweat to drip down his face. "As long as you answer one question of mine, I won't kill you." Lin Muyu smiled slightly. Ask. I will definitely answer." "Where is Tang Xiaoxi imprisoned?" "I." The high-level demon's face suddenly turned pale. "Which Tang Xiaoxi, she? The place where she's imprisoned is the highest secret of the divine race. I'm just a 2-star demon ancestor. I don't have the qualifications to know this place. I really don't know. Lin Muyu slowly raised his palm, and a golden energy enveloped each of his fingers. He abruptly grabbed onto the shoulder of the high-ranked demon, and in an instant his bones were crushed. His golden eyes stared at the high-ranked demon, who was already stunned by the pain. Lin Muyu calmly asked, "Speak, where is Tang Xiaoxi? Otherwise you will die." "I really don't know," the high-level demon cried. "If I knew, I would definitely tell you, but I really don't know. If you really want to find out, you can ask His Majesty the God Emperor and the Saint Sovereign. They must know." "Where is the Divine King?" "In the Shin's capital." "Where is it?" "You can see it after climbing over that mountain. The Shin's capital is the largest in the Sky Gorge. And there are countless guards inside and outside the capital. Don't kill me, all right?" Lin Muyu knocked the high-ranking demon out with a backhand slap. Then, with a jolt of his divine power, the ropes that bound the human craftsman were torn apart. He said lightly, "Everyone, leave quickly if you can. There's a big hole in the sky towards the south. If you run there, you might be able to survive. Hurry up and go." Everyone remained motionless. They had long been scared silly by the cruelty and ruthlessness of the devil race. How could they still dare to move? Until an old man walked out from the crowd and respectfully saluted, saying, "May I ask this young hero, who exactly are you?" Lin Muyu smiled. "My name is Lin Muyu." "Ah, King Qin? You are King Qin?" The old man trembled and quickly knelt down. "His Highness King Qin has finally come to save us. His Highness King Qin has finally come to save us." The other craftsmen knelt down as well. Their faces were full of gratitude. Lin Muyu felt guilty. In reality, he didn't come to save them. But, as long as he defeated the demons in the Sky Gorge, he would indeed save these imprisoned humans. "Hurry up and leave. You don't have much time. I still have things to do." "Yes, Your Highness." "Then we'll go." The newcomer turned around and led a group of craftsmen into the dense forest without looking back. This was a rare opportunity for them to escape. As long as they entered the borders of Skyspan Province and avoided the demon scouts, they might be able to escape back to Winterridge Province. As long as they reached the steel walls and saw the Imperial Army, it would be equivalent to escaping with their lives. Lin Muyu didn't say anything. He leaped into the sky. The higher the better. It was the safest way to get away from the demon scouts and enter the divine capital. The divine capital was resplendent. Large amounts of resources were transported from Lingdong Province and Tongtian Province back to the divine capital, allowing the royal members of the demon race to live a luxurious life. Even the entire palace was washed with gold lacquer, making it look dazzling. No matter how much the demon king tried to whitewash himself as a god king and a supreme god, in the end, it was all for the sake of glory, splendor, wealth, and rank. Inside the palace, the demon king wore a golden royal robe and held a dazzling longsword. He sat calmly on the throne. The sage master stood beside him in a black robe. Below him were a few demon generals and the gorgeously dressed princess, Feng Jing. "Jing, tomorrow is your wedding day with Marshal Qianfeng. Is everything ready?" The demon king asked with a smile. "Everything is ready. Don't worry, father." "Ha, that's good. You must serve Marshal Qianfeng well in the future and live in harmony with your husband. Only then will you live up to father's expectations." "Yes, your daughter understands." Feng Jinger blushed. "It's a pity." The demon king sighed. "It's a pity that your sister Ning is still in Winterfrost City. In order to get her back, we've lost nearly 50,000 armored demons. I wonder how she's doing in Winterfrost City. She's the princess of our race, but she's been imprisoned for 5 years. It's such a waste." Qianfeng cupped his fists and said, "Father, don't worry. Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing are both scholarly generals. Even if they fight against our race, they won't humiliate His Highness Ning. Don't worry about that. As long as this subordinate's new strategy is developed, our army will be able to crush the steel walls, flatten Winterfrost City, capture Lin Muyu, and rescue His Highness Ning." "Yes. Thank you for your hard work, Marshal Qianfeng. Then, this subordinate will take his leave to prepare for tomorrow's wedding. Good. Feng Jing held onto Qianfeng's arm with a blissful expression. The two turned around and left. The rest of the generals also left, leaving only the Demon King and the Sage Sovereign in the hall. Sage Sovereign, how's the refinement of the witch's demonic energy? The Demon King suddenly asked. Your Majesty, the witch's demonic energy is very powerful. We've refined more than 100 bottles of it, but it's still far from enough to deal with the war. 100? That's not bad. How's the witch Tang Xiaoxi? Has she woken up? She's been unconscious for 4 years. Why hasn't she woken up? Your Majesty. The Sage Sovereign paused and said, Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin grew up together. The two of them are like sisters. Under the bewitchment of Yaoji in Bailing City, Tang Xiaoxi lost her mind and killed Qin Yin. This is a fact that she doesn't want to face. After many years of observation, Tang Xiaoxi's strength and spiritual sense have recovered to their peak, but she's still unconscious. The only explanation is that she doesn't want to wake up. The Demon King narrowed his eyes. What should we do? We need a reason for Tang Xiaoxi to open her eyes. A reason? The Demon King suddenly laughed. That's simple. Among the people that Tang Xiaoxi cares about, Tang Lan and Qin Yin are already dead. Only Lin Muyu is left. And Lin Muyu is now in Lingdong province. If we tell her this news, will she wake up? Perhaps she will, it's worth a try. Good. But at this moment, the Demon King suddenly looked up at the hall and shouted, Someone's coming, get out here. With a wave of his palm, the blood-colored Grandmaster Devil Force rushed straight to the base of the hall like a blood chain. With a bang, it pierced through the base of the hall. Countless bricks and tiles fell, while the blood chain entangled a golden light like a poisonous snake and forcibly pulled it down. Wang. The golden light swirled around Lin Muyu, who was being held back by Shuel Yen. After pondering for a moment, Shuel Yen entered his divine transformation battle form, his eyes flashing a golden light as he unsheathed his sword. The 7 luminaries' immortal gourd and god-binding chains quickly disintegrated and fused into the 7 luminaries' immortal sword. Cha-cha-cha. In the blink of an eye, the Demon King's blood refinement was turned into pieces while Lin Muyu rushed towards the Demon King and shouted, Where is Tang Xiaoxi? Ha! The Demon King laughed loudly. You're finally here. The Nephilim Emperor's palms formed a shield as he channeled all the divine energy in his body. In an instant, his strength was raised to its peak as he slammed his palms against Lin Muyu's sword. Chapter 638. Boom! With a single strike, a tyrannical energy swept through the hall, crushing the lanterns and other decorations into pieces. A group of guards who tried to step forward to help were all sent flying out of the hall. This was not a battle they could intervene in. Amidst the explosion, the Nephilim Emperor was forced to take a few steps back. He looked at his palms in disbelief. His blood-refining palm had already reached the 9th heavenly layer, reaching the realm of all-seeing heaven and earth. However, his all-out attack was actually forced back by Lin Muyu's sword. Just how strong has this brat become? Where is Xiaoxi? Lin Muyu bellowed. The golden light around her body soared into the sky. With a wave of her sword, the power of the 5 elements' 8 wastelands annihilation swept out. Wah! The Devil King spat out a mouthful of blood. He hurriedly used the blood-refining palm's 8th heavenly layer blood shield to block the attack. But right at this moment, a sinister force came from behind Lin Muyu. It was the Devil Master's 5 demons' harmony divine art. Lin Muyu condensed the diamond body barrier and the walls of the gourd to defend herself. With the help of the Sovereign Head's God Force, the gourd's golden light was dazzling and forced the Saint Master to retreat. But Lin Muyu didn't have it easy either. Even though she wasn't seriously injured, the Saint Master's power was like an all-pervasive poison that seeped into her body, preventing her from recovering quickly. After the Devil King's 5 elements 8 wastelands annihilation was forcefully blocked by the Devil King's blood shield, Lin Muyu's left hand spun and blasted out an ice fist. This time, the Devil King couldn't block it. With a "purng," he was sent flying like a cannonball. He smashed through the walls of the hall and came to a stop in the air. Outside, a group of Devil Race guards rushed in. Qianfeng also returned with his sword unsheathed. "Your Majesty, what happened?" "Lin Muyu is here." "Oh my God!" Qianfeng rushed into the palace and saw 7 demonic figures dancing around the Saint Master. He had already used his strongest 7 demons' harmony divine art to resist Lin Muyu's star art. Lin Muyu's body shone with golden light. Her god force was biting cold. The image of a mountain appeared on the blade of her sword and slashed down fiercely. 5 mountains descending. Bang! The 5 mountains descending from the heavens clashed with the 7 devils' amalgamation. Immediately, the holy sovereign spat out a mouthful of blood. Even though he was strong, he was still unable to face Lin Muyu head-on. However, Lin Muyu wasn't in a good state either. She had already lost a lot of her strength when she repelled the Devil Emperor. Now, she had to face the Holy Sovereign head-on. In addition, the Holy Sovereign's devil art was all-pervasive. Her god force couldn't last much longer, and the light of the Sovereign Godhead in her EC had dimmed significantly. "Lin Muyu!" With a roar, Qianfeng's guru devil force whirled around his long sword, and he launched a fierce attack from the left. The sword light contained the powerful divine power of the law of fire. After a few years, even Qianfeng had stepped into the divine realm. Lin Muyu glanced at him and suddenly, her arms trembled. She spun her body and the 7 luminaries' fairy gourd produced a mysterious suction force. The force of the 6 demons' harmony divine art slammed into Qianfeng's attack. Boom! Qianfeng was sent flying back, and Lin Muyu's blood flow was in a mess. Many demonic guards were coming in from the outside, and the Wing Tribe's army was also screaming in the air. What was worse was that she could hear cries from afar. It was a giant flying snake. If the giant flying snake came, she might not be able to escape. Thinking of this, she didn't say anything else. She stomped on the ground and bolted out of the palace. Her voice echoed in the wind, "Come after me if you dare." "Bastard!" Qianfeng lowered his body and was about to fly away when the Nephilim King's voice sounded. "Qianfeng, don't chase after her." The Saint Master nodded and said solemnly, "Lin Muyu's strength has completely exceeded our imagination. Any one of us could be killed if we chase after her. Don't act rashly." "All right." Qianfeng looked up and saw a purple sun rising slowly in the sky. He also saw Lin Muyu's figure. A chill ran down his spine and he said, "Let's go, he's attacking." The Nephilim King and the Saint Master hurriedly flew out of the palace. Just as the 3 high god experts flew out of the Great Hall, a violet sun descended from the sky, directly blasting the entire Great Hall into a pile of dust. A powerful shockwave swept out, killing at least 100 high-level demon race guards in one fell swoop. "Damn it!" The Nephilim King clenched his fists and said angrily, "If I don't kill Lin Muyu, I'm not human." In the sky, Lin Muyu flew up and stopped when the air was thinner. She took a deep breath. Qianfeng, the Saint Master, and the others didn't chase after her. Fortunately, it seemed that her cultivation was still not strong enough. The 3 demonic experts were no match for her, but it was a 3-on-1 battle. It was a pity that after eavesdropping for a long time, she didn't manage to find out where Tang Xiaoxi was. The Nephilim King saw through her aura. She closed her eyes and rested for nearly an hour. When her divine energy had recovered to 70%, Lin Muyu opened her eyes. The spirituality in her eyes had also recovered. The Shindu must be in chaos now. They thought that she would never come back after she escaped with her injuries. However, she couldn't leave. She continued to search the surroundings to see if there were any new clues. When she was about 500 meters above the ground, she saw that the heavenly gorge was dotted with hundreds of cities. Iron suspension bridges spanned across the hundreds of meters of mountains. It was very steep. The demon race had lived in such a harsh environment for tens of thousands of years. Finally, they raised hundreds of thousands of armor demons in an attempt to invade the central continent. However, The heavens didn't go their way and they were doomed to fail. Not until sunset did Lin Muyu slowly land on the ground. After observing in the air for a long time, she finally found a city where humans lived. Only a few armored demons and high-level demons were guarding it. It was an earthen city, which should be newly established. Many humans had set up camps in the sky and on the ground. It looked like a mountain stronghold. Swoosh! Lin Muyu slipped into the city without a trace. However, she found that there were some human soldiers in armor outside the camp of the civilians. Needless to say, they were the advanced troops. They were a group of human soldiers who were enslaved by the demon race. Many of them were from the Empire Army. They were called the Shame of the Empire Army. Stop! He was quickly recognized. Two advanced troops rushed over and unsheathed their swords, pointing them straight at him. Who are you? Don't you know that it's forbidden to carry weapons here? Why can you carry weapons but I can't? Hey! One of the wretched-looking skinny man laughed. Because I am the advanced troop. I am an honorable warrior serving the celestial race. What about you? What are you? I think you are just a lone warrior. Iha Nation has been destroyed. A lone warrior like you from the House of Chivalry is like a dog without a master, wandering around. How pitiful! Come, follow me to see the young general. What young general? Lin Muyu frowned. You will know when you see him. Let's go. Under the push of the two soldiers, Lin Muyu didn't resist. Even the star's sword was taken down. It didn't matter. It was too easy to take it back. After passing through the main road of the city, they came to a mansion made of bricks and tiles. This mansion was the most luxurious building in the city, although it paled in comparison to the Demon King's main hall. Outside the mansion, groups of advanced troops were guarding there. Each of them glared at Lin Muyu with steel sabers in their hands. It was as if they would tear him apart if he said a wrong word. After entering the main hall of the mansion, they saw a young man sitting on a chair in the distance. He was holding a cup of tea in his hand. His armor was still on. He had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. He looked somewhat familiar. Young General, we have caught a person. We suspect that he is a spy sent by the Empire Army. We have brought him to you. Oh, is that so? The young general smiled and said to an old general, Old General Su, I wonder who sneaked into the Tongtian Gorge this time. You will know when you see him. Under the candlelight, Lin Muyu was escorted into the main hall by two advanced troops. With the help of the candlelight, she was stunned. How could it be? The young man was Min Zhan, and the old man was familiar with Lin Muyu. It was old General Su Ying. Oh my God! Su Ying recognized Lin Muyu at a glance. He said with a trembling voice, It's Her Highness Lin Muyu. Min Zhan stood up abruptly. How could it be? You? Lin Muyu calmed himself down. His brows furrowed as he suddenly opened his palm. The stellar sword flew over from afar, and with a "thing" sound, he unsheathed the sword. His god force revolved, and the pressure of his supreme god domain descended, immobilizing everyone in the surroundings. Tell me, what is going on? Lin Muyu looked at them coldly and said, Old General Su Ying, I respect you as an old general of the Empire. But why did you become a minion of the demons and harm humans? And young General Min Zhan, you are the son of Marquis Min Yulin. Have you forgotten who you are? Min Zhan and Su Ying couldn't move. Su Ying's old face was full of guilt. He said in a low voice, Your Highness, do you think we are willing to be ordered by the demons? Marquis is imprisoned. If we don't listen to the demons, he will be killed. In addition, our Yangwei Legion ran out of food in Winterfrost City. We are in a desperate situation. More than 1,000 people were captured. 700 or 800 of them have been killed or eaten. They were then incorporated into the advanced troops. Many of our generals are Qian Feng's trusted followers. We are also being watched. We have no choice but to follow orders. Marquis is not dead? Lin Muyu was surprised. Yes, father is not dead. Min Zhan gritted his teeth and said, If not, we would have chosen to die a long time ago. Marquis Min Yulin was not dead. Lin Muyu didn't know whether this news was good or bad. But in the face of death and survival, how many people would have the courage to choose death? Do you know where Princess Xi is being held captive? Lin Muyu asked indifferently after a short while. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.